Hello, everyone. We are live. I think. I hope anyway. Hi. I'm Miko, otherwise known as the OKSGM, and I am the producer here. As a producer here at the Superior Adventures Guild for Monday Night Mayhem. Welcome. We are about to get into some shenanigans, and it's going to be interesting because I'm actually running the game tonight as well as producing. So I know other people do this. One of the people on our stream tonight does this and on their own channel. And this is my first time though. So yeah, let's see how this goes. We have a bunch of cool stuff going on here on Monday Night Mayhem. I am completely 100% off script tonight because, yeah, I am not prepared for any of the shenanigans that are about to happen, but we will get through it. We will get through it. If you would like to actually participate in some of the things that we've got going on here at the Superior Adventures Guild, you should join us in the Discord. Links are in the chat. We've got really cool people there, all kinds of good discussions, and that's where you'll find most of the information about new and upcoming shows, potential casting opportunities, ways that you can join us and support us and all of that great stuff. What else? Oh, Twitter. We have Twitter. You should definitely give us a follow on the Twitters. And if myself or any of the people that you see on tonight earn your respect enough to follow us on Twitter too, we would greatly appreciate it. All of their links and stuff will come later. And we also have a YouTube channel where our VODs get thrown up. Shout outs. I should do shout outs. We are shouting out tonight Tabletop Audio. They are flipping amazing. I have been using them for years now. We are Patreon supporters of theirs, and you should be too. Yeah, all of the music that you're going to hear tonight is from them. They are awesome folks. Links are in the chat. If you guys would like to, have them bring their awesomeness to your table too, because they totally deserve it. Yeah, I think that's enough babbling from me, at least for now. I'm going to do a lot of that tonight, just so you guys are aware. I should probably introduce you to some other really awesome people, like these people on screen. Say hi, everybody.
Oh, hello.
Hi, everybody.
Everybody got it except Beth. Yeah, one demerit for fine. Beth. Yeah, it happens. How are you guys doing tonight? You guys ready for some action, some fun, some intrigue?
Sure am.
Extremely ready.
Cool.
Excited to go somewhere warm.
Oh, boy.
Oh, don't make me laugh. That makes the coughs worse. I will apologize now. I got COVID recently, and I am still not over the cough that has come from that. I'm going to do my level-headed best to try not to cough into this microphone, and I am certain that I'm going to fail at it in some point. So I'm apologizing to all of my players, to every one of you guys that is listening and watching, because it's awful. Get boosted, people. It helps. Cool. Let's go around the table and introduce ourselves. I am, as I said before, Miko. I am the OKSGM on all of the socials, or the OKS_GM rather. Links are in the chat. Hit me up on my link tree. I'm a producer here at the Superior Adventures Guild, particularly for the Monday Night Mayhem game, and I do cool stuff online too. AI art creator. I'm not an artist by any stretch of the imagination, and you should never classify me as such, but I create things, and a good bit of which you'll see tonight. And I do a whole bunch of homebrew stuff. Tonight is actually homebrew of my own making, The Lost Sands, set in Ysterra, my own homebrew world. We'll get to all of that in a bit, though. I'm going to shoot this over to Andrew so that he can do his introduction. Andrew?
Hi, I'm Andrew. I always forget that there's an introduction, so I haven't written one. I am a human being, person, and I am playing a half-elf arcane trickster named Val. Yeah, my socials will be in the chat, and that's it from me.
I am pretty certain you were never going to actually write one.
No,
that's why
I don't think so.
Stopped trying to remind you. So, yeah. Beth.
Hi.
You're a human person, right?
I am indeed a human person, as far as I can tell. And a human person who is very excited to be here tonight to play this game. Everything I know so far about Ysterra is just the best. So this should be really great. I can be found here a lot. There's the last episode of this current arc of the Shadesong saga on Thursday, which is going to be great. More things coming in the works, so I'm really stoked for all of that. But you can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Beth Masco, and I would love to chat with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate the love for Ysterra. Been working on this stuff for years, so it's nice to actually be able to share it with awesome people. Also, quick shout out for Beth. There's an awesome map that you guys are going to see tonight that Beth made because they're amazing like that. So huge shout out to them. Kay, why don't you tell us about yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Kay, or Caden Cosmos. You can find me on most of the places at that. Very quick, like I'm going to be in the last face-in game of my session next Sunday, which I'm very excited for here on Superior Adventurers Guild. But that matters less. Right now, I'm going to be playing Reeves. He is a bit of a dune walker. He just kind of like he really like exists out in the sand now. That is his life. He's a older half elf man. I think he's the oldest in this group by far, and he's looking a little rough. He's had a whole life, and it just keeps going. Yeah.
That's kind of what life does. If you're lucky, it just keeps going. Will, why don't you tell us about all the awesome stuff you do?
Yeah, hi. Hello. My name is Will. I am one of the GMs and the organizers over at Live from the Apocalypse. This is my first time being on a Spirit Adventure Guild stream. I am very excited to be here, very happy to be here. We play on the channel that I'm normally on, Live from the Apocalypse. We play tabletop games to raise money for nonprofits and aid organizations and good causes like that. You can find us on Twitch at Live from the Apocalypse. You can find us on Twitter at Live from the APOC. I am also on Twitter at a Will M Scream. And I think that's most of the stuff. I'm playing Welsh Payne. He is kind of an up and coming sand skimmer racer in our setting here, and I'm excited to introduce you to him.
I am excited as well, especially since the whole concept of sand skimming racing was not a thing until Will came into the picture, and now it's a thing, and it's awesome, and I love it. I love when people get to help me create new stuff. Andrew, did you actually tell us about Val?
I said that they are an arcane trickster, but yeah, that's about it. They are she is a failed archaeologist, I'd say, now turned a criminal scavenger.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of little interesting character details that I think are going to emerge in the coming weeks. Just so you guys are aware, this is a 4-part special. Tonight is part 1. Every Monday for the month of February, we will be exploring these awesome characters and seeing what shenanigans they get up to. But why don't I actually set the scene here and tell you guys a little bit about Ysterra and the country of Aubrath that we are in. Is it this one? Hey, it worked great. Welcome everyone. Ysterra is a world that is formed with the power of a dying god. It is filled with fantastical creatures. It flows with magic. It is protected by powerful beings that carry motes of the deific power of that dying god that I just mentioned. But it's also an interesting world in that it finds itself on the verge of an industrial revolution. It is rife with a chaotic history. Ysterra's evolution has been stewarded by the Ascendant. Thank you for the follow there, Nick Nerde. these powerful beings, the Ascendant, have within them the remnants of the deific being that formed the world of Ysterra as they died. And these Ascendant have, at various times in trying to protect the world, caused great harm to it and to the many peoples that call it home. One such event, the Illuvants, destroyed an entire civilization, killing tens of millions of people and ending the lives of over half of all elves in existence in the world. It also resulted in the Ascendant putting themselves into a form of self-isolation and establishing rules that they all must follow in protecting Ysterra, hopefully for the foreseeable future. In the nearly 10 centuries since the Illuvants, the world has seen tremendous growth. It's reached almost 1 billion people now. And even though there has been war, there's also been a great deal of peace. Recent history, however, indicates that the world is undergoing change. Faith and religion are becoming much less important in daily life. Science and education are becoming more foundational to society. Magic is kind of struggling to maintain its place in the world, experiencing this sort of industrial revolution. No one can tell exactly what the future holds during all of this. But that's the world. Let's bring ourselves down a little bit into Aubrath and the deserts of Aubrath. Aubrath is one country of many in the world, and much like everywhere else, it has its own rich history. It is... there's that cough. It is a desert magocracy that has relied on magic for its very existence. Albrathian society has gone through many, many changes over the millennia, and now it's in its third age of existence, according to historians that keep track of such things. Aubrath has managed to tame enough of its harsh landscape that it is becoming extremely prosperous in these many times. The cities that have sprung up are larger than they have ever been. There are more of them now scattered throughout the harsh desert landscapes that can potentially swallow an entire town whole. They have found new ways to build atop the ruins of their past, and now we find Aubrathian society kind of looking for its place in the broader world of Ysterra. A recent war, several decades in the past, left its mark on society. Even the very land of Aubrath itself was changed. Towers of rulership and magical power that were destroyed are finally, now so many decades later, being rebuilt, and people have welcomed a new cadre of mages to lead the next generation of the Aubrathian society. You can find a very diverse spectrum of people and heritage here, but nearly all Aubrathians live by the tenet: the desert takes from you what you give it, and gives to you what you earn. It's an adage that has kind of survived the millennia. Before Aubrath even existed as a country, it was spoken often. This belief that Aubrathians have in each other has led to many marvels of magic and technology. Sand skimmers, as was mentioned a little bit ago, boats that sail across the dunes of the very sands of Aubrath. The shard fields, where massive chunks of glass formed in the hot baking deserts themselves are farmed and pulled out from under the sands and then magically infused to have the hardness of steel. The Sendaiant spires that rise almost 1,000 feet into the sky, some of them. They house the most prominent institutions of learning and cultural significance in all of Aubrath. Floating flower-like constructions of glass called skywells that magically alight themselves up are tethered to the ground, turning sunlight basically into water. All of these things and more await you all in the deserts of Aubrath. And I think it's time that we get to that. What say all of you? Would you like to hear more?
Let's get started.
Yeah.
I would.
Then
wanna
roll
get the sand
initiative.
in my crack. Okay.
Shoot.
Oh,
All
wow.
right.
Oh, right off the bat.
Oh,
Right
boy.
off the bat, we are jumping right in, people.
I got a 14.
All right. Let me pull up my tracker here.
I was as caught off guard as my character. I got a 10.
I
That's not
also
bad.
got a 10.
Okay.
Not as good for your pilot to have the 10 there.
I mean-
And what about Reeves?
So I rolled a nat 1, but I do have advantage on initiative, and I rolled a nat 20 instead. So
Oh!
I've used up all my nats. Everything else is garbage from now on.
Amazing.
One thing I actually did forget to mention to everyone in the chat, if you want to actually get involved in this awesomeness, you can donate bits. Every 100 bits that you donate, you get to pick a player, or if you really would like to, you could also pick me, and that gives that individual that you chose an advantage. It's basically a reroll that they can use on any d20 roll that they would like. You do have to decide before I tell you the result, though, just so you know. No shenanigans there. I guess I should probably roll initiative too. And you know what? I'm just going to do it in the chat. I got a 17. Thank you, Twitch chat.
Man.
All right.
Seems unfair.
Yeah, probably, but I have all the cards here. So, you find yourselves skimming across the deserts, riding in this glorious construction of magic and artifice, this wonderful, beautiful machine, for lack of a better term, that you have dubbed the Dune Raker. It is a 20-foot long ish 25-ish foot long sailing ship that is just big enough to house each of you perhaps comfortably, depending upon what your standards are, but it is it's still it's still a little cramped with 4 of you there and all of the equipment and everything that is required to keep this thing skimming across the sands of the desert. You have now been on your journey into the deserts of Arbrath, seeking a ruin now for a good week or so. And for most of you, if you've never ridden in a sand skimmer before, it is quite an exhilarating experience. For Walsh in particular, who is the pilot of this glorious Dune Raker vessel, it has been a wonder to behold. That is, it is the largest and most complicated piece of artifice that you have ever piloted in your entire existence. But now, as you are skimming across the deserts of Arbrath, with the twin suns of Ysterra kind of setting in the west behind you as you continue to make your way east, you have now found yourselves being accosted by a horde of giant scarabs. These scarabs are well known in the deserts of Arbrath for particularly being dangerous to sand skimmers, although usually sand skimmers can outrun them. Yours is a bit big, though, for a sand skimmer, as most sand skimmers can only really hold 1 or 2 people, and yours was designed to hold 4, so it doesn't move with quite the agility that perhaps Walsh is used to. And these particular scarabs, which are around 10 feet long, head to tail, are bearing down upon all of you rapidly as you are making your way across to the deserts of Arbrath. So, this is not a normal combat. We're not using a battle map here because the movement would just be insane. The sand skimmer itself moves at about 60 feet per round with just a single action of piloting, or with a single move action, I should say, of piloting. Will, as the pilot, or really anybody, if you would like to take the risk of actually jumping in and trying to make this thing go faster, can use your action to double the movement during that round. Unfortunately for you, these particular scarabs that are quickly catching up to you, now about perhaps 120 feet back. Sorry. They move at 80 feet per round. So they are catching up to you quickly. You are fairly certain that in just a matter of seconds, they are going to be bearing down upon you. Reeves, your first act.
Oh boy. I imagine that I have all the ropes and things tied around my arms because everyone else is little weak babies. So I'm like, I'm dealing with the sails and everything myself. I'm gonna yell, can you wee babes handle those? And I'm gonna, if I can use my action to use my strength and kind of know how the sand skimmer works to try and get the sails in the right positions and stuff to help Walsh.
Okay. Do you have land vehicles proficiency?
I have, yeah.
All right. We'll give it a go then. You can either, I'll give you two different options that you can pick. You can either do an athletics roll, or you can do a land vehicles proficiency roll. The athletics will obviously be using your strength. The land vehicles proficiency will actually be using your dexterity. So it's up to you. You have proficiency bonus added to both. So
Yeah, I am gonna choose athletics. Because I don't know if Reeves would be very dexterous while having all the ropes and things wrapped around him. So yeah, I'll go with athletics, please.
okay.
I also have advantage, so that's even nicer. So, oh my gosh, it begins. I got a 9 as my highest.
9 total, including your modifier.
Yes.
That's glorious. Well, the good news is you don't fail by enough to actually cause any harm. Unfortunately, in wrapping the ropes around your wrists like you're doing, you're mostly securing yourself to the ship as opposed to like securing the sails all that well. So unfortunately, you do not get to muster any additional speed out of the Dune Raker. But then, as you, are doing this and trying to garner your companions to actually move, get off their duffs and do something about these damn bugs, you see that they are, in fact, now getting closer to you once again. They are now about 80 feet behind you, whereas previously they were about 120. Let us go then to Val.
Yeah, Val, being a little weak baby, walks up to Walsh, like, hey, not to stress you out, but the giant bugs are getting closer. Does this thing go any faster? Is there anything that we can do to help this go any faster? And she'll cast Mold Earth in front of the sand skimmer to help maybe turn the rough terrain into something that's a bit easier to glide over.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if that'll work.
In this particular case, it's really not going to have any effect because you are going so fast over the land. What I will say is you could potentially try to turn some of the sand underneath of one of the scarabs into rough terrain to bog them down and potentially cause them to crash.
Absolutely. I'll definitely try that.
All right. Let's call this a spellcasting check. Either a spellcasting check or an arcana check. So you can do, it's basically the equivalent of a spell attack roll. This is mainly to see how well you do at targeting the right spot as one of these giant scarabs is about to land on some of the sand that they are hauling their way through.
Okay. That is, I rolled 2 blacks. That's a 16.
16. Awesome. So as you guys are seeing these giant scarabs falling out over top of each other, there are dozens of them basically, but there's only really a handful of large ones. Most of them are small, like perhaps about the size of like a raccoon, right? But the ones that are the size of a horse, they're the ones that you're really worried about. And Val, as you see one of these bugs, they have wings. They can fly for short distances. It's almost like a wing accelerated hop, basically, that allows them to go through the air. And you time yourself as you unleash some of this arcane energy, and some of the sand underneath of where this scarab lands just kind of parts and dusts up around it, and you see this giant crash of dust and sand kick up into the air as this scarab falls down into the sand. You don't know if you heard it, but you definitely slowed it down. It's going to take some effort for it to get back into the fight, as it were. Awesome stuff. Ada.
Okay. So Ada will turn from her position, holding on to the side of the skimmer for dear life, just white knuckling it, and so she'll look back and see these scarabs just coming closer and closer. So she'll turn to Walsh and just say, "Walsh, I thought you were professional," and then she will throw her hands up, and I'm gonna have her cast Wind Wall, which can go about 50 feet. So I kind of want to have it like arcing as like sort of like a cup to push them back a little bit. It's 15 feet high and a foot thick. And we'll see if it does anything to keep them at bay for a bit.
That is awesome. Can you remind me if they have to make a save or anything for this?
Okay, so if a creature is within its area, it has to make a strength save, and then it might take bludgeoning damage. Otherwise, it's a wall that they'll hit, I guess. So if I didn't necessarily like plop it on anybody in particular, but just sort of like as a, guard for us.
Yeah, awesome. So most of the small ones, I think, are going to be able to avoid them. They're kind of irrelevant to this fight anyway, and they're barely keeping up. We don't really have to worry about them, but I am going to roll for each of the large ones, just to see if you actually deal any damage to them.
Cool.
So there's that one. That one. And one of them got a natural 1. That's gonna fail.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
2 natural ones. 2 in
That's
this
what I
bunch.
like to hear.
Unfortunately, the other ones was a natural 19 and a natural 17, which I think
That's
beat your
fine.
DC, but
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So for the 2 that failed, it's 12 points of bludgeoning damage to
awesome.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I will say that one of the 2 that rolled the natural 1 slams extra hard into the wall and seems disoriented, and you completely lose sight of it in the cloud of bugs that are flying towards you guys. And another one kind of ricochets off and seems dazed for a moment, but immediately gets up and starts flapping its wings very fast to kind of join the fray. The other 2, they kind of slam into the wall, they catch onto it, and they immediately start climbing over it.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely delayed them, and you definitely cost them a ton of momentum. So that was very, very good. But they are still, in fact, chasing you.
Okay. I'm going to keep concentration on it. It can last for up to a minute, so I'll just keep it until it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're very quickly going to get out of sight of it anyway, and that's probably going to be a good indicator as to when to let it go. Walsh, Mr. Pilot, Mr. Professional, what would you like to do?
So I'm picturing Walsh, everybody's kind of yelling at him, and he's kind of standing in the middle of the ship, steering it with like one hand and then like opening valves and turning, things like there's just a lot of instruments around him that he's trying to focus on. And as he is doing that, I think he's going to sort of, he's going to call over shoulder, just sort of addressing everyone generally, and say, "Bit busy at the moment." And over his shoulder, a little clockwork monkey with wings is going to like run down his arm and kind of assist with the operating of the valves and things. And he's going to look at it and he's going to say, "Hold on, Falstaff, here we go." And I'm going to try to double our speed, like you mentioned.
Awesome. And my sincerest apologies. I completely forgot about the monkey. I had meant to actually make some art for you.
Oh, you're good.
For that. I will have that for you next week, I promise.
It's very easy to describe.
What's your monkey's name again?
Falstaff.
That's awesome. Love it. Cool. So give me a either a piloting land vehicles check, but for you in this instance, it's going to be intelligence based because you're trying to exert the engine.
Right.
And let's see what happens.
Right. Very cool. Let me just do that and we'll roll it. And that's going to be a 17.
Awesome. Yeah, so all of you feel this burst of energy. You don't hear anything at first, but then there's this like echoing boom from behind you as the engines, because there are actually engines in this, although they are magical artifice, they let loose this burst of arcane force from underneath of the ship, and you see it kind of ripple through the sand behind the Dune Raker, kicking up more sand from behind you, and some of you have to grab on as Ada is already doing, white knuckling it even harder to avoid falling off of the ship as it bursts forward with great speed, trying to outrun some more of trying to outrun these scarabs that are after you.
And just in response to the earlier sass, I think the last thing I can do if I can is just Walsh is going to sort of call over his shoulder to Reeves, wherever Reeves is like wrapped up in the nest. He's going to say, "I was led to believe monsters were your area of expertise, Master Erickson."
Fine. I'm going to let everything go.
So in this moment, let's actually take a second here and let's go back in time, perhaps a couple of weeks, as it were, and let's get a glimpse into how some of these individuals managed to find their way into this interesting predicament of being chased down through the deserts of Albrath by giant scarabs. Andrew, could you describe for us, please, where Val is at this moment, a few weeks prior to all of this action?
Yeah, a few weeks prior, Val is sitting on a chair in a jail cell. It's cold, dark, dank. They're sitting on a chair playing with a loose piece of tile cobblestone with their toe, slowly ruminating on how they got there and how they're going to get out. And that's where they are 2 weeks before this.
As Val is sitting in this perhaps all too familiar place that they have been in and out of over the past couple of years, thankfully most of the time managing to get out through wits and perhaps a little bit of luck. This time Val is sensing that perhaps the situation is a little bit more dire. What was it that brought Val into this particular cell this time?
Yeah, Val had set up a deal. Val's in a little bit of debt, a little bit of trouble. And they were waiting to fence a relic that they found. But it turned out to be a sting operation and got kidnapped, or I guess arrested. Now, she did have a partner, a good old friend named Kat, that never showed up to meet with her. And so she never really felt right about the meeting in the first place.
as Val is sitting there kind of ruminating about their missing friend and, what might have happened to Kat, there is a familiar voice that rings out down the hallway, the row of cells that are all empty except for the one that Val occupies. You hear, "How you doing down there, girlie?"
Cold but fine. How are you?
"Oh, I'm fine and dandy." And you see a very large, portly, perhaps, in his human man in his late 40s, early 50s, large stone mug of steaming coffee in his hand, receding hairline kind of pulled back in a knot behind his head, wearing the usual markings and indicators of a Justicar. This particular Justicar's attire is a little bit more threadbare and worn. It's definitely, he's been doing this for a long time. And he is certainly no stranger to seeing Val in this predicament as he smiles and sips his coffee. I heard somebody's coming to see you in a little bit.
Oh, really? Visitors?
Yes,
Me?
indeed.
Wow, that's so nice. Do you know who?
You've caught some attention of the spires, as it were. Thank you for the raid. Awesome, Epic Realms. Welcome, raiders. You are joining in on the fun just as we are getting started here on Monday Night Mayhem, where we do all kinds of games, looking for new people to come and play and have fun with us. So welcome. My apologies again for the cough. As Val is sitting there, the notion that she might have caught the attention of a spire, finally, does that ring at all in her mind?
Yeah, Val doesn't really trust the spires, doesn't really like the spires. What was your name again, sir?
Oh, Val, honey, come on now. It's Tomlin. We've talked at least 6 or 7 times at this point.
I can't remember every face I meet.
Well, you should. It might do you some good in this world.
Can you come a little closer just so I can see in the light?
Sure, darling. And he steps a little bit further down the hallway, which, is very well lit. One of the benefits of being in a desert country, particularly in a world that has 2 suns, is that there's often a lot of light, and there's a lot of skylights and the like. And as soon as he steps kind of into the hallway out from the door frame, you see him in his full height, looking kind of smug from his side of the bars.
Does he have keys on his hip, or did he leave keys at his desk?
So unfortunately for you in this particular instance, the locks in this particular cell are not attuned to keys. They are actually attuned to magical crystals that are not as easily transported on the side of a belt, perhaps. And you can't, unfortunately, weasel your way out so easily.
Damn. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I hope you say that out loud to him. So you're like, oh, didn't bring the keys.
So you're saying I have visitors, Tamlin? Tell me more.
I just got the memo. Well, we got the memo this morning, but I just read it myself a little bit ago, that all the way from, which spire was it? Diruvar. Not so far from the capital, as it were. They're sending an envoy to help in your litigation.
Oh, interesting. For me? I'm not that
Oh.
popular, am I?
I'm sure it's going to be not just for you. It will be for Albrath.
Not picking up what you're putting down, man.
You might be in a spot of trouble there, Val. That's what I'm saying.
I'm always in trouble.
Not so sure you're going to be able to get out of this one, unfortunately. But we'll see. Hats off to you the number of times that you managed to get out of it before. Who knows? Maybe you'll do just fine. As he sips his coffee some more and then disappears out to the doorway, whistling to himself a happy little tune. You have to sit and you wait. And you wait. And you wait. You're not entirely sure how much time goes by, but you can tell that the suns are getting close to setting before you hear the door at the end of the hallway opening up once again. And fully expecting to see the same gentleman from earlier, you instead notice walking down the hall a dwarven man, significantly shorter than your jailer, bald with a bit of a knot of hair at the back of his head, indicating that most of the baldness is by choice. Very exquisitely dressed, but a bit of a scowl on his face. Why don't you give me an insight check?
I am awful at that. I got a 3.
You are fairly certain that if you were not separated by a cell, this man could probably kill you, and might even want to. As he makes his way down the hall, you see in his hands, he actually is holding the artifact that you had been captured with, that you were trying to fence. And you see him spinning this bauble of glass steel in his hand, the arcane matrix inside of it still glowing with a faint bit of energy within the part of it that had most caught your attention when you had procured it, as anything that still possesses, anything from the ancient realms that still possess magic is, of course, very prized and very, very expensive. He turns it around in his hand, and in a fairly clear and surprisingly soft voice, you hear him say, "Good evening, miss. It appears that you have found yourself in a situation."
Good evening. What is a handsome dwarf like you doing over here? You'd be a lot prettier if you smiled, though.
I smile when it's the right time to smile. Do tell me, is your name Valriel?
You can call me Val. That's fine.
Very well, Val. You may call me Abreu.
Pleasure to meet you.
As you're looking at him, you can see that he is wearing the fine robes of someone that is very, very, very closely related to the spires. And just from his demeanor, you can tell that he is probably someone of significant importance to the spires, as you have your own history with the spires and can recognize some of that familiarity. Do tell me, Val, this particular situation that you have found yourself in, how do you think it will go for you?
Well, you know, they'll let me out of here. I'll have a trial date. I might not show up. You know, I might go to another spire. I might go to another city. Eventually, I'll be out of here.
Well, unfortunately for you, there have been some changes to recent laws regarding the possession of artifacts of ruin. And this time, I don't think that it's going to be a question of if you show up for the trial, as you will not be given the luxury of waiting for the trial date outside of a cell.
Tell me more.
What's Val's demeanor as she's kind of talking to this?
You know,
man?
she's kind of shocked, but this is just like another higher class smug asshole that she's dealt with before, so she's not taking him too seriously. Also, she's just really bad at insight, so like if he's trying to be intimidating, she doesn't see it at all. It's just another dude that's just talking to her.
Fair enough. I might be able to assist you in this predicament that you find yourself in. Would that be something that one such as yourself would be interested in hearing about?
You know, I don't really like to work with other people. I have one person I trust, and I'm not sure if I even trust them anymore. But I'm listening. I have time.
It's a true shame when you can't even trust yourself. And you see a little curling of his lips as he cracks a little bit of a smile.
Are you going to tell me what's going on, or are you just going to make really, really bad implied insults and jokes?
I didn't think that one was that bad, to be honest. You should hear some of the other ones that I... Anyway. Alright, I'll cut to the chase then, Val. You are in trouble with more than just the common folk in this district that you have managed to find yourself captured in. You have caught the attention of the spires, and some individuals within the spires. If they get too invested in your particular situation, they will choose to make an example of you, as we are seeing a rather sharp increase in criminal activity associated to the ruins beneath Arbrath. And that has to be dealt with in time. I'm going to offer you a rather simple solution. I would like to employ you in the capacity that I have at the Spires. I can commission your services for a task, and if you succeed at this task, not only will it be able to go a great deal towards dealing with your past record of criminality, it will basically null and void this particular incident that you have now found yourself in.
Alleged incident. There's no proof yet. I haven't been tried, but I'm listening.
Yes. Well, as you have not been privy to any of the trials from your previous incidents because they have been so minor that no one really cared to enforce them, this one I think you might find goes less in your favor. There's also the circumstance of who you owe money to, Valeriel.
Val's heart sinks a little bit when thinking about who they owe money to. What's the job?
Doing what you do best. Delving into the ruins beneath Arbrath. This time, under legal pretenses.
Well, that's interesting. Is there a seed fund?
There is, but all of that monies are going towards funding the expedition, supplying it, and providing something new for Arbrath to witness. There is, of course, opportunity for money to be made from the ruin and a successful completion of the contract. Enough, perhaps, to help alleviate the burden that you carry of your debt.
Val's thinking it over. All right. Count me in.
I thought you'd see it my way. This time tomorrow, you will be released, and you will be given a short ride, not too far away, to Prienis, which you know to be one of the spires that is still under construction. Once in Prienis, you will find your way to the tower itself, and it shouldn't be too difficult for someone such as yourself to locate the vast array of skimmers that are in the service of the spire. Make your way to Chamber 12, and there you will meet the rest of your team.
The rest of my team.
Oh yes, you're not going alone.
Yeah, I guess that's fine.
And with that, we will cut back once again, back into the action as all of you find yourselves once again being chased down, or still, rather, I should say, being chased down by these massive scarabs. Ada has successfully managed to delay them a little bit, giving you potential hope of maybe outrunning them, because if they catch you, it's not going to be pretty. Reeves, it is your turn as you see these scarabs ascending over the wall, still a good distance back away from you, but they are stubborn suckers.
Well, I had all my arms in the ropes, and then Walsh sassed me back. I throw the ropes down. I'm like, oh, fuck's sakes. I get it to the back of the sand skimmer, and so I'm going to take out my short bow. Is it a short bow? Yeah, short bow. And if I cast Ensnaring Strike and then shoot with my bow, will it cast on the bow attack?
That's a good question. I don't know Ensnaring Strike. Why don't you tell me what it does?
It says the next time you hit a creature with a weapon attack before this spell ends, a writhing mass of thorny vines appears at the base of or at the point of impact. Target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be restrained by magical vines until the spell ends, which is a minute.
Yeah, sounds legit to me.
Nice. Cool. And then, yeah, I want to take aim and take a pot shot at one of the big ass scarabs.
All right, let's do it.
Huh? And they're within 80 feet, you said, I think, right?
I'll say that there's one within 80 feet, yeah.
Okay. That is a 14.
14. 14 does hit.
Nice.
Barely. It is exactly their armor class.
Okay, I'm glad.
What does it look like as you... Oh, Christian, giving up some bits, I'm assuming, since it's exactly 400 and not 500, that it's bits for you guys and not me.
Yeah.
Because it's Christian, and I know how he works. All of you now have an advantage that you can each use as you need to. Coincidentally, that does carry over. So any that you don't use now will get used in the next session, and it just keeps stacking. So, more people want to throw out the bits. These players might need it.
Yeah, I roll bad. I'll take all of your money.
Says the natural 20 initiative person.
Nat 1, then nat 20, and then I will never.
It's the end result that matters.
Is it? Yeah,
so you hit. What does it look like as this magically enhanced arrow slams into this creature.
I imagine that if this were a movie, that the camera would follow the arrow as it spirals, or not spirals, but like spins through the air. And just before the point of impact, that's when the kind of tendrils of the vines and stuff pop out and try to kind of grasp at those big ass scarabs.
And they do, because he rolled a 5 for a total of 8.
Yes.
As to avoid the getting supremely entangled by this thorny vine as it wraps up and collapses to the ground, disappearing from behind you in the mass of sand being kicked up in your wake. That brings us back to the scarabs. Several of the scarabs at this point, thanks to you guys' actions, have been waylaid a little bit, and are definitely slowed down, if not completely out of the fight, as maybe perhaps this last one was. However, one of them, as it clawed its way up this magic wall of wind that Ada had summoned, it leapt up into the air, and you can see this gurgling, glowing green, just energy that ripples across its carapace underside, and its head almost violently, sickeningly, like extends forward a bit, and its gaping maw opens wide as this burst of energy comes flying at you all, in an attempt to obviously strike your sand scare. So Christian, I need the bits here, because that was a natural 1 again. My third natural 1 tonight. I am not enjoying this as much as perhaps my players are. As this burst of energy comes flying towards all of you, there's a moment as you guys all kind of look back and you can see this, and then it just starts coming at you and you think, oh god, here it comes, and then it kind of just dissipates in the wake of sand behind you, as it was aimed very horribly. Somebody needs to send this bug back to school for artillery, because he failed that class. Val, you are up.
I will take a shot at it with my short bow, I think.
All right.
Oof. It's 14 hit.
That's exactly their armor class.
Amazing. 21 points of damage.
Hello. You did not roll
Oh.
sneak attack on that, did you?
I don't
I'm not
think
sure how
so.
you got 21 points of damage on
I don't know.
short bow.
know either. 1 second. Let me just.
It's rolling like 1 die and then 3 other die.
I noticed that.
It's really
I'll just roll the die itself. It's 5 points of damage.
That's better. And that's adding in your dex.
I think so.
Armor. Still, you do strike it, catching an arrow. This is the one that had just kind of lobbed the energy at you. You sink an arrow into its carapace. It sticks for a moment, and then you see the shaft of the arrow kind of shatter in multiple places, as the binding bands of its carapace armor kind of clinch over and shatter the arrow out so that it can continue moving. Ada, you are up.
Okay. How far are the 2 closest scarabs, roughly?
They have not managed to gain very much on you. The 2 closest are still only about 80 feet away.
Okay.
Your efforts to slow them down basically were very effective.
That's what we like to hear. I am going to just hair flying all over the place from the wind and the sand. She is not happy right now. This is not how we do things. She's going to put her hands out again and shoot 2 Eldritch Blasts out at the beetles.
Are you aiming for 2 separate ones?
Yeah, the two. Do I roll separately for them
Yep.
then?
Roll one
Okay.
for each.
One is a 26 to hit,
That one will hit.
and the other is a 21 to hit.
Both hit soundly.
Okay,
See,
and
Christian, why are you
then
giving them help? They're doing fine. God.
I'll need it eventually. The first one will do 5 points of damage, and the second will do 4. And as Ada sends out these blasts of eldritch energy, they sort of form in her hands, starting. They look kind of dark as they leave her hand, but they sort of kind of change into this like gradient of dark purples and then a lighter purple into sort of like a fuchsia when it then impacts.
Nice. As both of these eldritch bolts of energy fly through the air, you can see them actually spraying the sand that is being kicked up into the air. Wherever they touch, you actually see crystalline fragments of sand as it is morphed from the normal sand into tiny fragments of glass as it showers into the air wherever one of these bolts and flows. And when they land and hit the scarabs, you can see that one of them was one that had taken the brunt of the impact into the wall from before, and he is a little bit dazed for a second, and you're not sure if maybe that has helped you or not, as now it might be a little bit more angry as it's chasing after you. Walsh, you are up.
So Walsh, who is still very busy steering the sand skimmer and trying to keep us on a steady course, is going to look back over his shoulder as much as he can and is going to say, guess we're doing everything today. Falstaff, go help the man do his job. And Falstaff is going to give him a little salute and is going to glide across the ship to where Reeves is shooting off of the back bow. Falstaff is going to land on the edge of it, and then his wings are going to come forward. His chest chassis is going to reconfigure a little bit, and a cannon is going to slide out of his chest. And I am using my Eldritch Cannon feature for the Artificer.
Sick as hell.
And for a bonus action, he will fire a Force Ballista out of that at one of the scarabs.
So your little monkey Iron Man is about to let loose a repulsor beam. For just to help here, I'm going to say that he is astute enough to see the one that had just gotten blasted by the arcane bolt, and is going to also aim at that one.
Perfect. Yeah, and his arms and legs kind of lock into place around the railing, so there's kickback, but he doesn't really move from it.
Perfect. Let it loose.
Cool. I can't seem to roll that one. It's only showing me the flamethrower on my character sheet, so I'll just roll a real die if that's okay.
Fine. Yeah, cool. You can roll whatever dice you want. I have no requirement that people roll D&D Beyond.
All good. That is a 17 spell attack, ranged spell attack.
Absolutely hits.
Perfect. All right. Then the damage is going to be. Yeah, of course. Well, actually, no, that's fine. That's 12.
Okay, nice.
12 force damage.
As this bolt from the monkey's chest laser flies through, it doesn't do what the Eldritch Blast did and make pretty sparkles of sand turning into glass. No, it just melts everything that it flies through, and there's this smoking char through the air as the sand is just disintegrated, and as the blast slams into the carapace of this bug, you can see a huge chunk of its shoulder, the area kind of beside the head a little bit, just blown completely off, bug guts just flying through the air, and you all quickly lose sight of that particular bug.
Gross.
Nice.
But the monkey's really cool.
Yeah.
Monkey's cool.
I mean, you guys softened it up for the monkey. I mean, everybody knew that was going to happen, right? So, let us go back then once again in our minds to a few weeks past. Ada, where are you prior to all of this bug adventure?
Well, Ada just got back from another excursion, and she is currently walking the halls of one of the spires that she visits frequently, and carrying kind of an obscene stack of papers. You're not quite sure how she's not just like pitching forward entirely with the weight of it. But she is just sort of briskly walking through the halls. And she looks over and sees some familiar faces, and just as she's going along, just hi Carol, you look great today. Okay, lunch, we'll do lunch, this is great. Okay. And she'll just make her way into an office. It's not really an office, it's kind of a tiny little like closet space, I guess. But there is a table set up and a crummy little chair, and on the desk there are stacks of various papers that are possibly organized, possibly not, hard to tell. And she sort of unloads this next stack of papers.
What does the nameplate on the door say?
Oh, well, it has my name, Ada Chroma, and it says adjunct document specialist in charge of historical reclamation. They actually had to take two signs and butt them up together just because the name is so long. But yes, she goes into her little makeshift office and starts working her way through the papers that she's just brought in.
Nice. As she is sitting there going through this new stack of beautiful and lovely paper documenting what do these particular papers document from histories long forgotten?
Well, it's kind of an array. So we have things that are rather important, at least to Ada. Some of them are what look like letters and possibly journal entries sent in from folks. It looks like maybe they're talking about the war from years past. There are some documents that just sort of lay out the process of the glass making with the shard fields, and then it goes all the way to like just drawings of different sand skimmer schematics and all kinds of just very random items. It's you can't really tell if there's a specific thread to all of it, but there's a lot written down.
Nice. So yeah, as Ada is paying particular attention to one of the journal entries and realizing that there's definitely a page or two missing from this particular one, she starts thinking back in her mind where she had stored previous journal entries and where it needs to be filed, and she's starting to kind of get lost in what the thing that she needs to do next is, because the journey was, correct me if I'm wrong, a little bit harrowing, right? It was not
the easiest
easy
time.
Yeah, no. It was not easy, as some of your jobs do. Certainly not the hardest one that Ada has ever been in, but and she's kind of getting lost a little bit in her thought when she hears a familiar thunk over in the corner of her office, and she looks over and she sees a parchment tube just having landed at its receptacle just off to the side, and she realizes that she has a missive waiting for her.
Oh, okay. For a moment, she can't seem to decide where she wants to turn her attention, if she wants to go over and get that, but she's like really zoned in on what she's doing right now. She stops, puts her hand on the pile of paper, and then goes over and grabs the tube.
As soon as she starts approaching, she realizes that she made the appropriate call, because this particular tube is made of reddened leather with gold and silver adornment at the ends, abutting the two glass steel caps.
Ooh.
And she realizes that this came from one of the upper ranking mages of the tower, that it is not just another person in the cog as she is, but someone well above.
She'll sort of look at it and wonder for a moment if this was mistakenly sent to her. And she kind of looks around, like wondering if she'll get in trouble for opening it, perhaps. It just feels strange. But
she knows for sure that if she opens it and then, pulls out whatever scroll is within, she'll see her marking on the outside if it's really meant for her, and she can button it back up and send it on its way if it's not. But
sure.
as Ada opens it up, thinking for certain this can't be for her, she opens it and she sees very clearly her full name. Not just her first and last name, but her literal full name emblazoned along with her title, which is a little bit rare.
This is okay. She'll sort of go through and read. She reads very quickly, so she's trying to slow herself down so she can really take everything in, rather than just picking out keywords and speeding through it.
As she prepares herself, she takes a deep breath, and then she unfurls the scroll and is kind of shocked at its simplicity, as she was wholly unprepared, as it simply says, "Good Ada, please come to Ocean Terendi's office, High Scholar, Divera graduate, Magister of the Antatian Order. Post haste." And you can see quite clearly the magical inscription of Terendi, whose name she is familiar with, even though she has never met him.
Okay. She'll sort of try to brush her hair back, help with any flyaways. She's been running around, smooths out her clothing, stands up straight, thinks, if I'm getting fired, I'm getting fired. I'll find another job. This will be okay. Okay, and then she'll just march her way directly to the office.
It takes a minute. It takes a hot minute to get all the way up the spire. Thankfully, in this particular instance, she doesn't have to take the stairs for very much. She has to take the stairs to get out of her level, right? Because the glass steel platforms that are magically imbued to traverse the entire length of the spire don't come all the way down to her particular office level. But, she has the wherewithal, and perhaps, starts feeling some of the energy that is to be called up to the upper levels, even if it is to be fired, just to get to go up there, to get to meet one of these individuals face to face. I mean, I would certainly want to be fired by this guy. He's very well known and respected in the order. And she starts just running through her head all of the, various aspects of his title: High Scholar, Diverar, Magister, Antatian Order, and like how she would introduce herself. What does she call him? And by the time before she can actually realize it, the glass steel platform has made its way entirely up 300 feet the side of the Diverar spire, and is now on not the topmost level, but very, very close to the topmost level, certainly the highest that Ada has ever been in the tower itself. And she, as the platform comes to rest, and the doors are waiting there for her to go through, she turns and looks about. The glass steel walls that surround her, looking out over the desert landscape that is Albrath, seen from several hundred feet in the air. She gazes at the countryside in a view that she is unlikely to ever get to witness again.
It's remarkable.
You turn then and head towards the door.
Yes.
As soon as Ada enters, she is immediately overwhelmed by plants. You wouldn't have expected to see an array of almost full-size trees potted in very large basins all along the corridor here that extends, a good 50, 60 feet in front of her, with several doors on each side. She isn't entirely sure which office she is supposed to go to, but she knows for certain that it will be marked. And as she makes her way down, she finds herself getting lost. Wait, where's his door? Until she reaches the very far end. And at the far end, in the corner office, as it were, there is the door clearly marked, Ossian Terendi.
She will just smooth her shirt again, at the same time sort of wiping some sweat off of her palms. She'll stand upright, sort of square her shoulders a bit, try to look as professional as she can, and she will go up and knock on the door.
You knock, not entirely sure how hard or loud you're supposed to knock, and you just kind of, tap a little bit, and within a fraction of a second of completing the knock, you hear very clearly in your mind, enter.
Okay, and she'll go for the door handle and go in.
As she reaches down and touches the glass steel door handle, the door just casually, softly opens all on its own without her having to put any effort into it whatsoever. And you step into the office of Ossian Terendi, easily 20 times the size of the office that she occupies. And the far wall is nothing but glass steel, looking pristine and cleanly out at the horizon. You can see now that it faces west, and the twin suns of Ysterra are starting to make their way down, and the brightness with which they beam and illuminate everything in Ossian's office is astounding, to say the least. As she steps her way in, she looks around and sees perhaps not as much opulence as she was expecting. Every wall that isn't glass steel has a bookcase filled with an array of books and tomes that, if only she could spend even an afternoon looking through, it would be the highlight of her life and career. And then at the center, in the very, very, very center of the room, she sees a plain, although certainly well-made, oaken wooden desk. Certainly not Albrathian, as oak does not grow in the deserts of Albrath. Had to have been a gift or something from some far-off land that she has read about for certain. And behind that desk, she sees a man. Fairly well-aged human man, probably in his late 50s, maybe early 60s, wearing the fine magister's robes of someone from the Antatian order. His beard is trimmed, if not, perhaps just a little bit overgrown, and his hair, whilst slicked back to a degree and certainly kept well, you can see that he is not a man that is usually dealing with the formalities of magisters in all of their various lavish ways in which they keep their hair and beard and mustaches trimmed. He has a book in his hand as he's casually leaning back in a chair, and as you step into the room, he very calmly and quietly sets the book down and closes it in front of him and rests his hands upon the closed book as he looks at you. And you can see the crystal clear blue of his eyes gazing at you. Give me a insight check, please.
I would love to. That is an 8.
You don't think you're being fired,
Okay.
but you're starting to think you did something wrong.
Sir, I'm Ada Kuroma. You summoned me here.
I did, in fact, summon you, madam. Please, come forward. And as he lifts up his hand, emerging from the floor itself, you actually see, made of arcane force, a chair arise out of the floor. And as you notice that, you look around the rest of the room and you can see that the only actual real chair in the room is the comfortable, if not slightly creaky chair that he is sitting in.
Thank you, sir. She'll kind of go over and take a seat and try to maintain her posture. How can I be of service to you?
Well, Miss Kurumi, what is it that you do in the reclamation department again?
Well, I recover documents that could be of value. All of this paper keeps getting recycled, which is fantastic. We need as much paper as we can get, but sometimes, if not taken care of, we lose things, and history shouldn't be lost if we can avoid it. So I travel and I gather important information.
This gathering often takes you into places that many within this building have never been, I assume.
That's true, yes.
Then you might be the most salient expert on the task that I have before me, certainly for anyone within my immediate reach.
It's an honor to even be considered. What's the task?
Well, you see, some recent storms. You heard about the storms in the east not but a few days ago. Yes. They have managed to uncover a place, or at least what we think is the uncovering of a way into a lost realm of Albrath's first age.
Oh, goodness. Well, that's exciting.
Indeed. And, well, before another storm can roll through, and, if I'm being perfectly honest, before another spire can commission individuals to go and delve before us, I am commissioning some people for our own spire to make their way in, explore, locate any relevant artifacts of histories forgotten, hence, you, and then return to us.
That sounds fantastic. What exactly would I be looking for?
Oh, well, that's just it. We don't know entirely. As you are probably well aware, being the historian that you are, some of the some of the tomes from the First Age tell us that there was a great deal of use in what is being referred to as mimetic crystals. And, well, we have yet to recover one. Any of the ruins that we have delved into from that age, most often, it's just not in the cards, as it were. They don't survive the harshness of beneath Albrath very well. And we are hoping, against all hope, that if we are correct, in that this might actually be what was once considered the capital of Albrath, that some of these mimetic crystals might be recovered.
That is fascinating. And she will pull out just a small notebook that she carries and just start scratching notes that are just complete scribble because she's trying to maintain eye contact all the while. And so she's feeling a little distracted, but okay, so we're going to try to retrieve these crystals. I mean, you mentioned a group. Surely I won't be traveling alone.
No, don't worry, my dear. We understand the dangers of these places, even if they have not been overrun by creatures of the desert. They often find themselves in such states of disrepair to be hazardous to anyone that is adventurous enough to make their way in.
Wonderful. Okay. Wow. I was not expecting this. Sir, you have... I don't even know what to say. Yes.
Yes. Well,
yes.
That is the appropriate response then. Yes.
Great.
Hang on a moment. And he kind of looks up at in the air, and you can see his fingers twitching ever so slightly, and small bits of arcane energy kind of rippling between his fingertips. Ah, yes, indeed. And he points at the door, and the door opens all on its own once again, and you see another very well-established man of the spire making his way in, dwarven man. This one focuses a great deal more on his appearance than perhaps Ocean did, and he makes his way into the room and simply locks eyes with you for a brief moment. You're fairly certain he's looking into your soul, but
Yep.
Thankfully he takes his eyes off of you quickly and looks back at Ocean and says, "It's done. We have most everyone at present, and the final is but a formality." Ah, good. Ada, this is my companion, my aide-de-camp, as it were, Abreu, and he is facilitating everything there is to this excursion. Abreu will see to your needs. If you have anything that you can think of that would be required for such an adventure, he can produce it, I'm sure.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
wow.
yes.
Okay. And she'll just sort of follow Abreu.
As you walk out of the room, we're going to cut back to present time with with scarabs breathing down your necks. Let us pick back up then with Reeves, the master of dealing with all things monstrous. What have you, sir?
So I don't know how long we've been traveling together yet.
Like a week.
Do I know a week? Okay. I would know by this point if the monkey likes to be touched or pet, or like if the good job, I'd give him like a cracker or something. He's a robot.
He's a robot. He is like, he acts very organic. Like he acts like a monkey, but you've never seen him turn into like a cannon before.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like he wants to be touched right now.
Okay.
Or your fingers might get blown off.
Yeah, exactly.
I imagine that the monkey came, full staff came up right next to me. I'm going to move over a foot to give whatever's going on some space, and I'm gonna try and take another shot at a thingy. This time without the cool tentacles, unfortunately. But so, oh yes, that's nice. I decided to roll in D&D Beyond instead. So 23 to hit.
Yeah, that is.
Perfect. Purple. 5 damage.
All right. You plink away at it. The carapaces on these things are very, very tough. And so you're not sure exactly how much damage you did. Reeves in particular knows that if that's all he was using, and it wasn't for these other magic people around, you'd probably not like the outcome if one of these were to catch you. That will make it the Scarab's turn. So they are going to close the distance rapidly. At this point, they are now about 60 feet behind you, and you're fairly certain if you don't do something soon, they are going to get to you. Val.
Val is going to follow Reeves' example and just keep firing arrows too.
Oh.
It's unnatural 20.
Awesome. Totally hit.
It's 8 points of damage.
Nice. You can tell that you're starting to wear this one down now. It's not gonna. It's probably gonna suffer similar issues as the one that got its shoulder almost blown off. Ada, you have any other magic shenaniganry up your sleeve?
Yes, I've got a lot of magic up my sleeve, but wasn't exactly thinking about using all of this right now. I guess I'll just shoot more energy out of my hands. That seems to be what I've got right now. Mostly because it allows her to just very briefly take her hands off from gripping the side of the boat. She wouldn't dare to, grab a bow or anything off of her back because that is a little too scary right now. So she'll just shoot off 2 Eldritch Blasts. Are there a few that are, as close together, or is there one that's
What's
super
Ada's
close
passive
right now?
insight?
13.
I mean, she sees the one that they've been plinking away at getting harried. She might want to consider focus firing on that.
Yeah. Bing, bang, boom. She'll send 2 its way. That's a 12.
That's gonna miss.
Which misses. The ship took a bit of a turn and, scared her.
Damn it, Walsh.
and then a 10.
I'm
So
trying.
yeah, she lets go of the side of the skimmer, puts her hands up to try to shoot, and it's just like nothing really even comes out. It like starts and then there's a bump and she has to grab onto the side again, and so she's just holding on for dear life.
The banister that she grabs onto is now charred ever so slightly from the arcane energy in her hands that she didn't fully expend.
Yep.
Walsh.
So seeing that, I think Walsh was going to call out to Ada and is going to say, "Don't worry, what happens to the best of us? Well, not me, but..." And he is going to reach down next to him, and he's going to pull up what resembles a gun. In so much that it has like a stock and a barrel, but like the barrel is metal. It has like runes carved into it. It's very short, and then like sort of jutting out the edge of it is what is clearly a magical rod of some kind, and it's kind of encased in like this cage of other magical rods that forms kind of a makeshift barrel itself. And while steering the ship, he is going to take it in one hand and kind of like point it back over the bow if he can. And if the one that's being harried is within 120 feet, I would like to use my arcane firearm to cast Firebolt.
Absolutely, let loose.
Cool.
That's so cool.
Right?
Artificers, man.
Yeah.
Artificers. Where is this thing? All right. Okay. I'm just casting a spell. Firebolt.
Oh, so 3 blasts.
Or
no, firebolt is 1 blast. I'm sorry.
Scorching Ray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scorching Ray.
I thought about doing that. That's an 18 to hit.
Absolutely hits. And this is supercharged because it's your arcane firearm, right? So you get an extra bit of damage on there?
I do. So it's going to be 19 points of damage, and then I get to roll a d8, and whatever I roll gets added to it.
Nice. And
which
is it the same damage as the firebolt as the d8? Like, is it all the same, or is it like different damage types?
Why are you asking? Why would that matter?
I'm just curious.
Let me check real quick. It is. It just says, plus 1d8 to one of the spell's damage rolls. So I think it's the same type of damage.
Cool. So describe for us then what happens to this carapace creature that is not going to survive the bolt blast.
Fair enough. So it's 23 points of damage, fire damage. So I think he kind of aims this arcane firearm out past the bow and then shoots it. It's maybe a little close to Reeves. Like, it maybe didn't have to be quite that close to Reeves, but it does sort of like zip right past your face and hit the carapace of this creature and just kind of split it right through. It kind of burns it as it passes right through it.
Nice.
And then for my bonus action,
the
monkey's going to fire again. Falstaff is going to fire again at a different scarab.
All right.
And I did figure out how to add that to the character sheet, so I can do that now. And that is going to be a 22 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
And that is going to be 12 points of force damage to a different one.
Nice. So yeah, you ricochet the second blast of energy. This one obviously very different from the voluminous fire blast of the first one, and it still slams into the creature. It still looks impressive and damages it for certain, but everyone is still fixated. Reeves perhaps putting some singed hair out. And let us cut back then once again to a few weeks past. Kay, where is Reeves at this time?
Reeves, I imagine a good opening shot would be very much inside a small bar on the northwestern kind of borders, a border town of sorts. So the camera is panning through a bar, the doors open, there's tons of, you hear the wind, some sand blows in, a completely covered figure steps in. They only have like their eyes visible as he walks through. He begins unwrapping the it's not like a turban, it's
accoutrement.
Yeah, all the scarves and stuff he removes. The bartender, when he notices, they gives like an acknowledgement nod, begins pouring an ale of sorts. Obviously, that Reeves has been here pretty regularly. Reeves is an older half elven man. I think he's in his early to mid hundreds. He has very weathered skin. He almost looks like tanned leather hide, basically, because of being baked in the sun and just had a hard time of it so far. He looks a little bit gaunt. His eyes are sunken in. He has quite long hair. So he slumps down at the bar. He takes his ale and he's gonna begin drinking and in quiet, comfortable silence with the bartender watching, I guess.
Yeah. Familiar sight that you are. The bartender already has the ale sitting on the bar when you finish undoing all of your attire, your desert attire. Unfortunately, this isn't exactly the type of place that can afford to magically chill its ale, so the ale is slightly warmed. The bartender makes an effort, but, it's not as cold as perhaps you would like, but it never is. And as Reeves kind of just sits there, scratching at the itch on the back of his on the back of his wrist that just doesn't seem to go away now that mark has been magically removed, the itch still omnipresent, kind of takes his focus away from him when an individual steps up very, very freely to the side of him and sits down on the chair next to him. Dwarven man, significantly shorter than Reeves, but also wearing significantly nicer attire than Reeves. He just sits there, places his fingers in front of him, kind of in a steeple, and sighs for a moment.
Reeves knows this play. This is definitely a sort of power play. So I feel like Reeves is pretty perceptive and clocked this guy on the way in and as he was coming over, but
give me an insight check.
Sure.
You definitely clocked him making his way in. There's no question about that. Reeves is eagle-eyed, and this guy was not trying to hide his presence. But let's see if he can pick up on anything in particular.
I got 15.
You can see that the man is weary, and he's doing a very good job of not presenting that weariness. But he's definitely traveled a fair bit, and it has not been an easy journey. And his sigh, whilst also a little bit of a play, like you had mentioned, has authenticity to it. And as you sit there and kind of take the man in, you hear him say, "You know, it's a shame what happens to people in your situation."
Fans are rough on everyone. It's what you make of it or something like that, I hear.
Yes, something like that. But I was referring more to what you're dealing with at the offices of citizenship.
You have a job?
I do. One that will surely escalate your position in the offices and easily grant you what you desire, and might even come with some monies to help set you up.
Reeves definitely makes a tisk, like a noise, like he's like thinking about it before he can put a clamp on it to show his actual interest in it. Is it solo, or
No,
this kind of work is usually a suicide mission? So
it is not, in fact, solo. As a matter of fact, it is quite the opposite of a suicide mission, as it would be your job to ensure that everyone returns alive. You see, people such as myself value the resources that we put into our endeavors, and we like to see it come to fruition. And you can detect a bit of, not he's trying to intimidate you, but there's an obvious menace in his tone that implies that he's had this conversation with others that he doesn't like. And you don't think he is that way with you right now, but you can tell part of his exhaustion is he's tired of having this conversation. Not with you per se, right? But the fact that he's had this multiple times.
Yeah. Okay. When is it? When's the job?
He produces a coin seemingly out of nothing in his hand, and you can see that on one half it is gold and on the other half it is silver, which you know in fact to be a charter coin, which is used for the various sand skimmer services to ferry people back and forth across the dunes. And he hands it out to you and says, "Now, this will take you to Priea." Right? Did I say that right? I said that wrong. Prienis, sorry. This will take you to Prienis, and there you will venture your way to Stall 12, where you will meet up with the rest of the team, along with what I hope will be something to impress you.
I like being impressed. Well, and I'll down my beer. And you are lucky I pack light. I guess I'll get going.
If you have any requests for equipment for a mission into the deep deserts to go underneath the sands into a ruin, you should tell me now so that I can have it waiting for you.
Oh, I can think of a few things.
And with that, we will cut back to the action as the scarabs once again are breathing down your back. You have managed to destroy one of them, severely injure another, and completely take one out of the picture. But there's at least one that is bearing down upon you with a menace in its gold and green insecty eyes. Let us kick it off with Reeves once again.
Okay. I am going to... I think I'm going to try to ensnaring strike again, because without I'm not doing much. I'm much better in a close combat sort of situation. I should have asked for... Reeves is regretting now not asking for something better to shoot at a longer range, but, you know.
I mean, who would have thought you'd have to be, dealing with giant scarabs chasing you down through the desert?
Exactly. Who knows? Who would know? So yeah, so I'm going to ensnaring strike again, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And I'm going to shoot the big ass one. Ass one? That is a 17 to hit.
That hits. And what's the DC on the strength check? Remind me again? 13. Well, he is pretty strong, but I've been rolling like shit. Hey, there we go. Natural 19. Total of 22.
Ooh.
He's got it. You do still do damage, I think, right?
Awesome. I don't think by the spell, but
the short bow will still do damage. Yeah. Go ahead and roll your short bow damage.
That's 5. Is that piercing?
Yeah, it's piercing.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, once again, another arrow shaft embedded in his chest. It doesn't seem to be bothered by them at this point. You know you're hurting it because you can see how deep the shaft is going into its carapace, but it seems to be on a raging rampage. And in fact, it closes to within 15 feet, 10 feet behind you, the dust being kicked up of your sand skimmer is just bouncing off of it, making it look 20 times larger than it actually is. And you can see this rising bile of green energy coming from it once again. Val, it is your turn.
Yell out to Walsh. Walsh, can you just steady the skimmer just for like 1 second, and I'll use my bonus action to do steady aim.
Nice.
And then I will shoot it with my short bow.
Nice.
I'm doing a lot of things at the same time here.
Can I also get one of those guns later?
Nope.
That is a 10. But I will use it. I'll use my.
You rolled that with advantage, right?
I didn't.
The steady aim gives you advantage on the roll.
Oh, that's
to
right.
Attack, that you just said
24.
you did.
I forgot. 24.
24 definitely hits. Thank you for, thanks to your GM for reminding you to roll with advantage.
Thank you.
And you do get sneak attack on this because you rolled the attack with advantage.
Perfect. So
coincidentally, if you decide to use inspiration in that same capacity, it's not the same as rolling with advantage.
Fair enough. 6 plus 6 is 12.
Nice. So this arrow goes almost through to the fletching of the shaft, and you can see one of its pincer arms kind of jerk in response as it's trying to reach out and swipe at Reeves, but missing wildly thanks to your arrow kind of sinking in deep. And that green bile starts to turn red. Ada.
Cool. So after totally whiffing it last time, and then, hearing Walsh's comment, she'll definitely throw a glare his way. She'll keep holding on to the side of the skimmer.
Can't
kind of
stop
like
white knuckling. Come on.
No, she'll even like go so far as to sort of like put her elbow over it, so she's like pinching it between her arm and the side of her body. She's like really holding on, and then she'll put her hand up and try to send out 2 blasts with one hand while maintaining this hold, because hopefully
Since you're
it'll
aiming
help.
at one creature, that's
Yeah.
more doable. Totally. Go
Yeah.
for it.
So let's hope. Okay, a dirty 20 to hit.
That's
and
one.
Then
One down.
woohoo. And then a 10. So it's okay. We get one.
You do get
That's
one.
fine.
Blast away.
And that'll be just a solid 4 points of damage.
Every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. As a matter of fact, as the force of this strike slams into the throat area of this creature, you were kind of focused on the red part and thought that would be a good spot to hit. And as the force energy blasts into it, you can see this rippling wave of what Ada immediately recognizes as arcane energy. This creature is not just a normal beastie. It has arcane power from within it. And we're going to make it Walsh's turn now.
Ooh. Oh boy. All right. I thought of something, and this is absolutely overkill. And I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway because I think it would be cool.
Love it already.
TPK.
So still trying to, I hope it's not that bad. Still trying to steer the sand skimmer with one hand. He's going to extend the arcane firearm behind him again, take aim at this thing. But this time what's going to happen is a ball of this swirling purple vortex energy is going to appear at the end of it. And instead of the ray that the firebolt spell was, this is going to shoot out as a swirling vortex ball and strike the creature. Walsh is casting Vortex Warp, and it needs to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
Or be teleported.
All right. I will let that loose. So I only rolled an 8 on the dice, but he has +8 to Constitution saves.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's his best thing.
No, I know, that makes sense. I thought about that.
Does that beat your DC?
It does. My DC was 15.
Oh, shit.
So close.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. The dumb thing that I was gonna do, which if you'd let me, was I was gonna teleport him in front of the sand skimmer that is moving very quickly.
Dude.
But
that would have been awesome.
You live and you learn. But as this bug is probably feeling pretty good about itself, I'm going to use a bonus action for the monkey cannon.
Sure.
Where did I hide that? There we go. 14 to hit.
That's exactly its armor class.
Yeah. So I didn't get to teleport in front of the ship, but it is going to take 11 points of force damage as a concussive blast hits it.
So I'm going to describe to you what happens in this brief moment before we cut back to how Walsh remembers joining this fray. And maybe in this moment he might, have some regrets about doing so, because as this beam lances into this bug, he's thinking in his mind, fuck, I really wanted to run it over with the sand skimmer. And then he's like, oh, wait, as he starts to see as this beam just tears through the creature, slow motion, a rippling explosion of energy in extremely close proximity to his brand new sand skimmer that he just got. And we're going to cut back, Walsh, to a few weeks past.
So it could have been TPK.
Maybe. We're not there yet.
Right.
We still have one memory to go through first. Describe Walsh for us in what situation he was found in when he was recruited into this adventure.
So Walsh is working out of what really can only be described as a garage. And there is a vehicle, a sand skimmer, that is parked inside of this. It's basically just an overhang. It's probably just like honestly a series of cloths and things, maybe some wooden walls that have been set up. There are definitely tools hanging on those walls and a few scattered across tables as well. And the sand skimmer itself is partially covered by a tarp, actually probably by its own sails, which are currently like flaccid's a weird word, but I guess that's what we're saying. And it is much smaller than the one that we are currently operating in the present day, and he's kind of just bent over it, like tinkering with it, but clearly getting more and more frustrated.
Why is he getting frustrated with it?
Because it's not working, and it hasn't been since his last race.
So we're not looking so much at a sand skimmer as we are the wreckage of a sand skimmer.
You could say that. He would probably prefer you not say it, but you could say it.
But being the visual people that we are,
Yes.
and looking at this from the audience's perspective and not in Walsh's eyes.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. And so as Walsh is desperately trying to salvage whatever he can from this sand skimmer, as it, correct me if I'm wrong, holds almost all of the value that he has and wealth that he possibly possesses. Just desperately trying to salvage something from it that he can make work or do something with or anything at all. He hears a voice behind him, and Walsh is a pretty astute individual and usually doesn't get snuck up on very well. But in this particular instance, he doesn't even want to turn around as he hears the voice of one of his fellow racers, and there's a definite chuckle in his tone as he says, "Well, looky here, fellas. We got ourselves a skimmer racer. I'm sorry. Skimmer racer." And you can you kind of tilt your head to the side just enough to catch the silhouette of one of the people that you had just raced against not too long ago, flanked by two of his buddies as he clears the edge of the tent and starts walking away, jovially chuckling to himself.
I think Walsh like reaches for the arcane firearm and then stops himself. Like, nope, it's just words. It's just words.
Probably a good call. As Walsh turns back to his sand skimmer to try to get back to the task at hand, even though he knows it is hopeless at this point, he is a diligent worker and has to uncover every possible thing that he can. He hears another voice behind him, someone clearing their throat, and sure as hell thinking that it's going to be another friggin' racer here to gloat, he stands up, almost reaching for his arcane firearm once again, gritting his teeth, turns around, and he sees the same dwarven individual that we in the audience have seen multiple times now, standing there, hands crossed in front of him, patiently, politely, just standing there calmly, looking at Walsh. Give me an insight check, please.
I will do that. Not my best, which is a theme with this group, apparently. 13.
13 is good enough to know that there is a hint of sympathy in his eye, but at the same time, he doesn't care that much. Right? You can tell just from his demeanor and expression that this is a man who came here with a purpose, and it wasn't to look at your wreckage or anything of the sort. He is looking directly at you as he says, "Good afternoon. Shall I call you Walsh? Is it?
If you've got business with me.
Indeed, I believe that I do, as I am finding myself in need of a person that is capable of piloting sand skimmers.
Walsh is gonna suppress the urge to look at the wreckage and is gonna sort of move to stand in front of it and block it a little bit and say, well, you found one.
And hopefully I found one that is knowing of the risks involved. As he kind of glances down at the wreckage behind.
I'm passingly aware.
I thought so. Let me be frank with you, Mr. Payne. I have a job to do, and that is to locate individuals of certain skill sets and group them together and send them on their merry way into the deserts to the very far east of Albreath. A place I think that you are not too unfamiliar from, yes?
I don't know about familiar. Maybe I've been there once or twice. Maybe I haven't been. Memory's not what it used to be.
You may find that such a memory could come in handy with the business transaction that we are about to do, as when this is all said and done, it would not behoove you to discuss it with others.
Well, discretion's not an issue, Frank, but I'm going to need a little bit more information before we come to any terms of agreement.
My name is Abreu. I work in service to one Osian Torendi of the Spires, if that was not plainly obvious.
No, I'm sorry. Earlier you said, let me be frank, so I thought you were introducing yourself. I'm sorry.
Yes, I got it.
Not much of a laugher, are you, Abreu?
I laugh when it is appropriate.
All right. Well,
Let's cut to the chase.
It's very insulting in a roundabout way, but yes, go on.
Yes, well, that's what we do. I'm willing to pay you enough money that you could afford 3 or 4 of what that thing used to be before you destroyed it, as he casually glances or gestures down towards your sand skimmer. And in exchange, you will ferry through a skimmer that I provide that is well above anything that you have ever piloted in the past. You will take these individuals east. You will help them on their journey into a set of ruins beneath the deserts of Albreath to retrieve items of value and importance. You will then bring them back to the spires, and there you will be paid substantially. Does this seem business amenable to one such as yourself?
He'll think about it. Walsh will think about it for a second, and then he will step forward.
As he's thinking about it, Abreu is not even twitching an eye. He is being extremely patient, and you get the sense that he understands that the deal is too good to pass up, but he's not rubbing it in.
Gotcha. Then Walsh, I think, will take a step forward, and he will offer a very greasy hand for shaking.
Abreu doesn't even bat an eye. He reaches out and grips it as well. He has an extremely firm handshake, but Walsh can easily tell that it's a hand that has not seen harsh service in the same way that he has.
Walsh will say, all right, you got yourself a deal, but I just want to be clear about one thing.
And that is?
All I have to do is drive.
Oh no, you also have to ferry them into the ruins. Your expertise in any kind of gestures wildly about the room. What is this called now? Artifice? Yes. Your expertise in this is one of the most significant reasons in which I am employing you. Your piloting is good enough, but I could get a pilot anywhere. I'm looking for someone of skill.
Well, I think we both know that I'm not going to say no. So.
Excellent. And he produces, like out of nothing in the air between his two fingers, a very familiar gold and silver coin. He says, "You are being ferried to Prienus. I shall see you in Bay 12. And that's when we cut back once again to the site that we had left off with the scarabs breathing down the back of your Dune Raker, the explosion of energy, slow motion, surging out from underneath as all of you instantly know what is about to happen. This blast of arcane and obviously elemental energies just rippling through the air, everyone's hair standing on end, the heat of it scorching their faces, white knuckling whatever you can possibly hold on to as to the best of your ability as your sand skimmer, the Dune Raker, lurches forward, starting to fly ass over front. Walsh realizing that it's probably a good thing he didn't try to run this beast over, because that would have exposed the very, very, very necessary underneath of the vessel, and instead this is just a glancing explosion as the Dune Raker is sent through the air, careening wildly in a very haphazard direction.
Planned it that way.
Right. All part of the plan.
Yep.
And we will take our break now, as our party is not certain they really have gotten in over their heads. Certainly their asses are over their heads at the moment. We will be right back. 5 minutes tops, I promise all of you. And then we will find out what happens to our adventuring group. Be right back, guys. And welcome back. I told you we'd return as quickly as we could. We were barely over 5 minutes at all. My fault entirely, I assure you. love everything that we've got going on with this group, and don't worry, I promise you we will get back to what is happening to the Dune Raker and all of its crew members as they are flying through the air, having just suffered a massive explosion from a swarm of attacking giant scarabs. But before we get to that, I want to take us back 1 week's time to everyone coming together in what bay was it again? It was 12, I think
12.
it was 12. Yes, Bay 12 of the Prienus Spire, as it were. The Prienus Spire itself is a building, or is a tower under construction. It is not as tall as any of the other spires at present, but Ada herself is well aware that the intended plans are that Prienus be the tallest of all of the spires, cresting over 1,000 feet into the sky when it is completed. Very likely not going to be completed soon, but it certainly will be completed in most everyone here's lifetime for sure. And sorry about that. And as you make your way through the veritable small city that basically is blossoming around the base of this spire under construction, as you make your way through it, and certainly some of you have probably experienced the hustle and bustle of city life, this is not like that. This is just massive crowds of people all on jobs and tasks, going about things. There isn't a single person here that is not moving, that is not doing something, as the bustle of everything going on around makes it almost easy to get lost. But you are all intelligent individuals, and you find yourselves venturing off to one of the side areas, not too far distant from the where the sand skimmers come in to Prienus. There is a collection of buildings, very, very wide, some of them quite tall, most of them probably being used to house whatever construction materials are necessary for the construction of Prienus itself. But there is a distinct subsection of this area where you see a very, very wide array of sand skimmers. And these are not like the ones that you use to travel here. These are a little bit larger, guaranteed to fit at least 2 people, where many sand skimmers can only fit 1 and are often used as messenger services, basically. These ones, however, are being constructed by and for the spires themselves. A recent political endeavor that the spires have undertaken. That's not working. There we go. A recent endeavor that the spires have undertaken to perhaps catch up a little bit with some of the modern advancements that the rest of society has been doing, and maybe even looking to get an edge ahead of them. All of you find your way, coincidentally arriving very close to one another as you make your way towards Bay 12. Walsh, I will say that you are the first, as I think you were technically the closest to have arrived. And when you step into Bay 12, you see before you the gloriousness that is the largest functioning sand skimmer that you have ever seen, the Dune Raker.
I think when Walsh walks in, he's kind of got this, like, he's wearing his big, heavy duster coat, and he's got a big bag that's kind of slung over one shoulder. He's kind of armed to the teeth, which is maybe interesting. Like, he's got a sword on one hip and an axe on the other hip, and a crossbow and his arcane firearm, and yeah, but in this big bag that he's carrying with him. But he just kind of drops the bag when he sees it and just like stares at this thing in awe and says, "Mother of pearl."
Nice. As you say that and like start taking a step towards it to run your hands along the glass steel reinforced hull, you hear a clearing of voices, I shall say, as Val and Reeves step into the room as well.
After you.
Very kind of you. What's your name? Walk up to Walsh.
This is interesting. I'm trying to decide how. Yeah, all right. I think Walsh is gonna. Walsh, I think he's gonna pick up what you're putting down. He's gonna say, "Walsh, what's your name?"
My name is Val, and this is Reeves.
Hi. What are you supposed to be for this job? Do you know?
I'm gonna be piloting that.
Nice. I don't know if I've never been on a sand skimmer before, so this will be exciting.
Well, you're in for a treat.
Keep us steady.
I can promise you, under my hands, it'll be the smoothest ride you've ever had.
Nice. What about you, Val? Have you been on a sand skimmer?
No, I haven't, but I've heard about them. I've seen them around.
You guys both know that you just were on sand skimmers to get here, right?
Not one this big.
Yeah,
Okay.
this was a nice one.
What brings you to here?
I'm here to order food. People have to eat.
I'm here to be a protector of sorts, get you folks through the desert.
I understand that. What I find is more helpful than knowing somebody's job is knowing their motivation. So what brings you two here?
Why'd you have to say the quiet part loud? I could have just played dumb.
Well, I'm in it for the money.
I'll be up front. I'm also in it for the money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, money, mostly. No, on my side at least, there's no. What's the word when you really love a country? Patriotism. No, not a patriot. Not doing it for the good of the people.
Yeah, fuck the majocracy.
Well,
They're
you
all
kinda
fat.
need patriotism. That's what I always say.
They're all fat and spoiled in the spires.
You've been to the spires?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, I want to hear that.
I went to school in the spires. I know what they live like.
Well, we're going to have a long time together. Sounds like you'll be able to tell plenty of stories. I wonder if it's just the three of us.
And as you say that, two more figures walk into the room. One of them you all recognize very clearly as the Abreu, the dwarven man that had recruited most of you. And flanked at his side is Beth. Do you want to describe Ada?
Yeah. So Ada is a half-elven woman who in like human years would appear to be about like 35 or so. She has just this brown hair that's like up, sort of. She does her best. It's out of her way. It's professional enough, but she doesn't spend too much time on it. She has round glasses that she wears. She's wearing not clothes that you would necessarily expect someone who is going to be traversing through the desert to wear. And she has just a small bag on her back. Doesn't look like she's, carrying too much with her. but she sort of walks up. She's standing very respectfully next to her chaperone here as she approaches all of you.
Frank, have you two met Frank?
As Val sees Ada walk in, Val pulls up her scarf a little bit just to cover her mouth and her nose, and then also remembers that dwarf fucking sucks.
I mean, you're not wrong, but he's paying us.
Yeah, he's a big dick.
Reeves will hear the chatter going on or start, and he's going to try and laugh large to like kind of cover it up and be like, "Frank, that's a good one."
Yes, such a good one.
Ada will immediately start walking up to everybody. Oh, hello. I take it this is the group that I'll be working with?
Yes, it is.
Fantastic. Oh my goodness. It's so wonderful to meet all of you. My name is Ada, and I'm with the Department of Historical Reclamation for Derivar. I take it you're the crew then?
Oh, are you the main lead here? We're following your lead?
Oh, no, I don't anticipate that. I have just a series of skills that might be beneficial in the, I guess, historical and, just basic knowledge of Abrath side of things. I feel like you're probably perhaps you've got a lot of muscle going on. You look rather tough. So that makes me feel a little bit more at ease. I've done some traveling, but not too much. So this is going to be an adventure. Okay.
Yes, indeed, an adventure. And don't let the mousiness of her appearance fool you. Young Miss Karumi has traveled a great many times across the sands of Arbrath and knows a great deal more than she is letting on, and has seen her fair share of scrapes nonetheless. So,
He's not wrong.
you have seen the Dune Raker. What do you think? And he seems to be kind of inflectioning towards Walsh.
It's not bad. It'll get the job done. With me at the helm.
Indeed. Do mind her speed. She is not quite as maneuverable as perhaps some of your racing endeavors that you have done.
Oh, I'll mind it.
Yes, I'm sure. He then starts walking over to one side of the room and looking around, and then just with a wave of his hand, you see like this invisible force kind of clear a bunch of the debris and tools and such that were scattered across one of the tables, just kind of fall away from the table as if an arm had swept through and moved it all. And he snaps his fingers, and in front of him on that table, a large chest appears, just kind of materializes out of nothing, and it opens up, and as it opens up you can see all of the various pieces of equipment that you had discussed with him off camera as things that you might need for this job are present, along with a few extra things here and there that those of you may not have requested that he felt would be necessary. And he says, "Here's what you have requested. I am certain at this point that between this and the supplies that are already on board the vessel, that you should have no difficulties in reaching your destination, delving into your task, and returning to us here at your quickest route."
Absolutely.
That's what I'm here for.
Get it done. Get home.
Yes. And just so you are fully aware, and he kind of gestures towards Ada, this young woman is very, important to the Spire. Is that clear? And he seems to kind of be mostly gesturing his attention to Val.
She winks at him.
I shall take that as a yes. Whatever your reasons for doing this. Oh, thank you, Prometheus, for the raid. Love it. You are just jumping in the middle of action as our adventuring group is getting to know one another. Whatever your reasons for taking this assignment, I shall leave entirely to you to discuss. But be advised that I don't care what your reasons were. I only care about the results. Understood?
Yes.
Glass steel. It's like crystal clear. Yeah, glass steel clear.
Glass steel clear.
Wow.
I tried. I'm so sorry.
That's great.
That hurt. Psychic damage.
I thought it was fine.
That was good. It was good.
Very
Old
good.
mansion.
The ship is at your disposal. I believe that it is prepped and ready to go, but Mr. Payne, you are very likely going to need to familiarize yourself with it, as it does not operate like your races do.
Oh, please. Mr. Payne is my father. I think I'll be just fine.
Right. I shall leave you to it then. Enjoy. And he kind of bows his head and, like, casually walks his way out through the door.
Bye.
Well, this is going to be very exciting. I think maybe before we, I guess hit the road or whatever.
Sam.
Maybe we should go around and introduce ourselves so that we, can feel a little bit more comfortable. This is going to be a journey where we're going to need to trust each other and work together for this common goal. This is going to be fantastic. Again, I'm Ada, and if we could just go around, that would be very helpful. Anyone could start. That's yes.
I'm Reeves. I'm your muscle, as you so rightly guessed. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Although I guess Mr. Payne is also pretty big.
The son of Mr. Payne, but yes.
You remembered. We're going to get along just fine.
Everything. Excellent. Okay.
I'm
excellent.
mostly just here in a, vehicular capacity.
I'm sure you're so much more than merely a pilot. We'll see what you can do. And you?
I am Val. I have experience in dungeon delving and ruin diving and scavenging.
Really?
Yes.
And Val went to school in the Spire, so you got that in common.
Really? Which spire?
Yeah, we've actually met.
Oh, have we?
Yeah, I don't think you would have remembered me though.
Oh goodness, I'm so sorry. That's terribly rude. Oh wow.
That's fine.
This is not a good first impression. Second impression, jeez. Okay. Well,
Abreu did say you were someone very important for a deputy assistant, researcher's best friend, or whatever it was you said your job was.
me?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm important. I thought
he told us you were.
Just in front of you.
Yeah, just now. He said that to us.
He said that she was valuable.
Or,
Now,
I guess, yeah. I don't know.
monetarily, or
he really said that about me.
You were standing right here.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I get sometimes I get in my head and I don't really wow, okay. That is a first. All right. Well, I appreciate I guess your help in this? This feels very strange. You can all, lead the way, and I'm just happy to be along for the ride.
Do you know what we're looking for? I didn't get much information from Albreo, Frank.
Oh, yes, I have
Frank.
everything written down. Oh shoot, I don't know where the papers are. I'll get it out though, and maybe while we're in the skimmer, we can sort of review a plan of action, and maybe continue to get to know each other, because again, with the whole trust thing, that would be fantastic.
Once again, look up. I just want to promise all of you, now that we're done with introductions and everything, being ready to get on the way, he kind of slaps the side of the ship and says, as long as I'm piloting this thing, nothing bad's going to happen.
Got a good feeling about this.
Yeah.
I think you have all of our trust, Walsh.
Okay, then. So, as we cut back to the present, the Dune Raker flying through the air, end over front, everyone holding on desperately, inertia keeping them more attached to the boat than anything else, or to the skimmer, I should say, than anything else. Everyone kind of blacks out for a little bit, any memories that we have in this are going to be pure and utter chaos, as the ship itself does in fact mostly survive the explosion. The hull is at least very much intact. However, there is a bit of a wreckage, as everything that was not battened down extremely securely onto the ship is now strewn all over the desert for several 100 feet. Eventually, as the sand skimmer comes to a stop, having fallen, tumbled, and vaulted its way across the desert like a errant gymnast unable to control themselves, eventually coming to a rest, your bodies eventually thrown from the sand skimmer and landing, thankfully, in mostly soft sand that is now getting everywhere. You pick yourselves up off of the ground in various states. Some of you certainly would have taken some amount of hit point damage in this fray. Some of you might not have taken really any, but certainly would have had your wits shaken about you. Concussions are not out of the realm of possibility here with what has transpired. As you pick yourselves up, eventually gathering yourselves together, taking stock of what has transpired, someone amongst you starts not necessarily ordering, but, telling people what needs to happen, and everyone starts working together to collect the various things that have been thrown from the ship, not the least of which is yourselves. Thankfully, the sand skimmer, because of the magic and the way that it works, it did land with hull down as appropriate, and Walsh is able to start doing it a once-over. He immediately recognizes, however, that despite the fact that the hull and remarkably the sails even are in decent shape and only need minor repairs, it doesn't take him very long to learn that the engine of artifice is woefully damaged. And while he believes that he has the tools and skills necessary to facilitate the physical repairs of it, he does not have an understanding of the arcane power aspect of it. And that power may not be so easily replenished.
I swear this has never happened before. This is absolutely crazy.
I can't imagine this has happened to anyone else before. Is everybody all right? Also, if you see a small container of sun salve, it's not the most important thing, but I burn very easily. So if anybody sees that, I would really appreciate it. But I guess, how do we fix this? I assume you seem to be an expert, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, it should be pretty straightforward. Just need a, like a regular old massive amount of arcane energy.
Sure. She has no idea.
Yeah.
What you're talking about.
Yeah. It's out of juice.
Okay.
It may not necessarily be completely devoid of knowing. Why don't you roll an Arcana check for Ada?
Betcha. I'm gonna use my lovely freebie from Bleak. 13.
I mean, with a 13, she at least has an understanding that there is a massive amount of arcane power stored within these things. She doesn't necessarily know immediately how to recharge it, but she does at least understand the scope and severity of what it means if it is losing or depleting energy.
She won't share that, though. She doesn't want to hurt Walsh's ego, as this is his one and only job.
Not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah, it's very complicated. You've probably never really messed around with anything like this or heard about it even. But, it just needs a massive concentration of magical energy really to get it up and running again. And that's kind of our problem here. Does anybody here contain massive amounts of magical energy? Raise your hands.
A little. A
How
regular
would
amount.
you define a massive amount?
And if you have to ask, it's not massive. So that's not going to work.
Okay. Well, how do we generate this energy?
Mm-hmm.
We can take some time to think. I mean, there's,
No, I don't need to think about it. It's just maybe, for morale, we should take a little time before we really get into it.
I try to find Reeves.
Nice. Pretty easy.
Reeves. I don't know what they're talking about, but you know this area pretty well. Do you have a map? And could we figure out where we are and how far from where we're supposed to be?
Yeah. I would like to kind of get my compass and a map out and wayfind here. Let's go.
All right. Roll me. You are proficient with navigator's tools, right?
Not navigator's
Or do you have a special ability or other proficiency that is useful for this?
Well, I have expertise in survival. I am also, I'm a natural explorer. I have a favorite terrain type, but that's more for trying to get through difficult terrain.
I'll let you roll a survival check then in this instance.
Or stealthily. Yeah. Okay. If I can, I would love to. I'm going to. Ooh, that is a 24. I think that's pretty good.
Nice. Okay, so I'm just going to take over and narrate a little bit here about what transpires, because I think you guys have an understanding of the direness of the situation. As you are all gathering everything up, and Reeves is kind of taking stock of where you are, you were supplied with maps of Aubrath. Ripley! With maps of Aubrath, and at this point, I think all of you know that it is Ada who keeps giving you a heading of the direction that you're supposed to go. Ada, have you shared with everyone how that heading is produced?
No, I have not. And in this moment, she'll definitely just sort of glance into her palm and then just sort of watch what Reeves is doing and how that's going.
Okay. As Reeves kind of takes stock of the situation, and you guys gather everything back up, you're going to be here for a bit, first of all. You know that. You certainly have more than enough supplies. There is no danger in the immediacy of, like, the desert killing you all, unless it, happens to swallow you up. But, that rarely ever happens in Abrath. But you take stock of the situation and start to get a sense. You don't really know how many days you are away from your destination. You do know that you are at least 3 weeks, if not a month, on foot across the sands to reach the closest waypoint of civilization. There are no roads in Abrath. The desert is not kind to roads, and so they just don't exist. The towers, extending as tall as they are often the most likely waypoints that people use when traversing the various deserts on foot or via sandskimmer. And in this particular case, you're not in the best position that you could be, we shall say. As the suns begin to set, and the 3 moons, Lunarin being the brightest in the sky, as these celestial bodies start to change their positions, and night, twilight, as it were, begins to settle in, I just would like to take stock of where everyone is at mentally in the hours after your very devastating crash.
Val is exhausted. This was a lot on her tiny body, and now she has to trudge through sand, and it's even worse. So they are physically and mentally just totally drained.
I think for now, it hasn't been that long. I think for now, Walsh is a little nostalgic for reasons we don't have to get into right now, but I think he has not been out in the desert in quite some time, and especially has not really spent a lot of time walking through it or just kind of appreciating how it has a very specific beauty all of its own.
Ada will be just very slowly pacing because her feet keep sinking into the sand. Her body doesn't feel great, but her mind is still racing as always. And she's just sort of thinking over everything that she knows about the timeline that they're supposed to do this within, and what this means for her career and for Abrath, and just all of these things just piling up. And then she shifts focus and starts thinking about anything that she knows about arcane stuff, and just sort of glancing over at the rest of her crew every time she makes a turn, and just keeps going.
Reeves would I think he helps collect the biggest stuff with Walsh, and if she can't find her sun salve, I'm sure he has enough wraps and coverings to help her stay out of the sun. They may not be washed in the last, I don't want to say how long, but and he feels comfortable in this. He usually doesn't stay in many of the smaller towns. He usually stays just outside on the outskirts, and so he's comfortable, and I think he can see that Walsh is pretty comfortable, but these two are not, and he's really loathing having to probably having to help carrying them through the desert. He's not looking forward to that. But this isn't the worst that things have gotten off path for him during a job, and it won't be the last time it gets off path, so taking the blows as they come.
If we've made camp, if there's a camp situation going on, I think Welsh will say, I know exactly what is going to raise everybody's spirits here. Didn't really come up before, but in addition to my exemplary piloting skills, I am quite an accomplished poet. And so I will now raise everybody's spirits by reciting a little bit of poetry for you all. And Walsh does so. I'm not going to subject the audience to it, but it is very bad. It is truly terrible poetry.
Does it have a rhyming scheme, or is it
Oh,
one
no.
of those?
No,
Very
no, it
off.
does not have a rhyming scheme
Mhm.
at all.
Yeah.
No, he maybe
Got
he maybe mispronounces some words on purpose, kind of, but like with an inflection, like he's doing something, but he's not doing anything. And yeah, it's not great.
Walsh, I'm going to be
That's very nice.
very honest. That was awful. That was very bad.
Well, are you a poet? What do you know about poetry? What are your qualifications?
I know what I like, and I did not like that.
Well, taste is subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Thank you.
That might have, I guess bolstered our confidence at this point. But is there any update on the whole arcane energy situation? Can I help? What can we do?
Kind of an awkward question, I suppose, but like, where does your magic come from?
Well, she'll sort of like brush herself off. Like, this is a very deep question to be asking someone that you just met. I would prefer not to discuss this right now. I do have some abilities. I'm sure that I can't do this alone, but perhaps if, all of us who have some magical ability might be able to, do something, perhaps.
I mean, Reese, you said you've got a little bit of magic, you said?
Yeah, I made some vines. Pew, pew.
Right. Now, I don't personally, but I've got plenty stored up amongst various things. And Val, we studied at the Spire, so you can do some magic, I'm assuming.
Yeah, nothing fancy. Make a bonfire, move earth. That's about it.
Would be worth a shot, I suppose. It's either that or trek through the desert for a couple of days.
A couple weeks.
Yep.
He pretends to cough, or coughs after the fact because he realized he didn't.
Did I say days? I meant weeks.
Weeks.
Oh boy. Okay, so we have some magic, but how exactly do we apply this for this use?
Do you need my blood or something? I don't know. I don't know how this works.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't run on blood. What?
It's a fair question.
I don't know how artificing works. You have a gun that shoots magic.
It's pretty impressive.
It seems like a massive leap in logic. Look, it's not important right now. I'm just gonna keep talking if Miko doesn't stop me and explain the mechanics of this arcane engine and how it works.
Do it.
So essentially, Walsh starts talking you guys through some of the aspects of what he knows the way it works. And he is very, very clear and concise on the parts that he can fix, right? There is no question that he is perfectly capable, seems to have the confidence anyway, that he is perfectly capable of repairing the physical damage to the device. The problem is, and some of you, I'll certainly leave it to each of you based on your understanding of your character's intellect, would understand that he has no concept of how to actually recharge the core componentry of it. But at the very least, he needs to fix affirm the physical repairs before anything else.
Yep.
Okay. Miko.
Yes.
What is the likelihood that Ada would have perhaps something about arcane transportation in her library?
Not inconceivable. She has quite a store of knowledge in that little pocket of hers?
Well, while everyone is just, doing their thing, Ada will just look, I need to go to the bathroom. Please allow me privacy. I'll be right back. And she'll just go dip over a little hill not far away. And she will enter her library and just kind of look around and see if there's anything possibly that might help to explain what it is that we need to do.
Okay. So I have two questions. The first question is to Ada, or to Beth.
Yes.
How long does Ada spend digging through her repository of knowledge before she has no concept of how long she has been inside of her library?
That's a really great question. I do think that she has in the back of her mind the understanding that the longer she takes, the more embarrassing it will be when she returns, given
We're going to assume
what she explained she was going to do.
But I'm also thinking of her perceptive abilities.
Oh, yeah. I would say I have a very high passive investigation, the 19. So, I don't know if that helps in, the whole scheme of understanding how I've organized things. You tell me.
Yes. But the thing about investigation is that you have to take time to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for what is the most reasonable amount of time?
Oh no, I would say a solid 10 minutes she can explain away. Anything beyond that, maybe she would actually just share the information with her friends, but in this moment, she can maybe get away with 10 minutes.
Okay. Give me an investigation check. And then the second question is from all of the rest of you. If Ada is gone for more than, let's say, 5 minutes, does that raise any alerts for anyone?
Especially given the directive that she's the important person and I am in charge of protecting people, it's maybe a minute and a half tops.
Oh no.
Okay. So Reeves, well, actually, I should say, Beth, what does Reeves find when he ascends over the crest of the dune in search of Ada?
Well, at first you see nothing, and that's perhaps a little disconcerting. But then you catch sort of a glint in the light, just the shine of some brass, and you see the only thing in view is a very ornately engraved spyglass. It hasn't been extended or anything. It's just sort of laying in the sand. There were footprints that lead up to it that you can see, and then it just sort of sits there.
What's Reeves' passive investigation?
13.
Okay. I think he would also believe that it was dropped.
Yeah.
I got a 24 on my investigation.
Nice.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I think Reeves would get up to the spyglass and careful not to completely mess up the tracks in the sand, and he'll fucking groan and be like, "Oh God," or "Oh ascendance," and go to pick it up.
So partway through Ada's investigation, she feels the familiar sensation, although it hasn't happened in quite some time, of her spyglass being moved.
Jesus. Okay. I have work to do. I can do this quickly. And she'll just sort of keep frantically looking around.
Okay. As Reeves returns to everyone else.
I had a quick point of order. While Reeves is gone, I think Walsh would talk to Val.
Go for it.
Cool. So once Reeves steps away, I think Walsh is going to lean over to Val and speak kind of tersely, like fairly quietly, but tersely, and say, "What are you actually doing here?"
I'm here to help you find whatever it is you're finding. I don't know what we're finding, but once we get to the ruin, I know how to navigate that.
Yeah. All right. Look, we may not have worked together that many times, but I remember enough to know that you wouldn't be working for the Spires unless you had to.
I'm in it for the money, like always.
I'm in it for the money. I think you're in it for something else. And I don't want you to mess it up for me.
Then I guess we better work well together. I take a flask out of my pocket and uncork it. I kind of tap it onto your chest. Tell me more about this arcane engine.
Fine. But look, you better not mess this up. And I am going, and yeah, Walsh will take a sip from the flask. He'll drink from the flask, and he will start talking about arcane engines in more detail than Val cares about. Let's be honest.
And can I do an Arcana check to see if I could actually understand what he's
Are you
talking
proficient
about?
in Arcana?
I have, yes,
Right.
I am actually. Yeah.
Roll it.
I have advantage in it too.
Oh, wow.
It's 15 both times.
Okay. I think Walsh might be a little bit surprised that Val is keenly interested. It even makes a couple of points that Walsh had not considered in his methodologies for repairing it. That isn't to say he's going to do it, but Val is definitely letting on that they understand more than Walsh perhaps intended them to. And at that moment of understanding, that's when Reeves comes back into the picture holding a spyglass. Does anyone have a passive perception of 15 or higher?
Oh.
Perception?
Yes.
I have 17.
I have 17 perception.
Okay. Well, I think Reeves already knew this, but Val also knows this then, recognizes that Ada was carrying the spyglass.
As Reeves is coming, he's like spinning it like you would like a pen or something on the tips of his fingers. I don't know if Ada is now spinning around in her mind palace, but yeah. And I think he makes eye contact with Walsh, being like, yeah, more than one of us fucked up. And our very important person is missing. She went over the dune, and this was all that was there.
Oh, throw it here. Let me have a look.
I toss it 100%.
Walsh catches it and will examine it.
You absolutely catch it. It's a very nice looking spyglass. In fact, it's very pristine. It's certainly seen, use. It is not, brand spanking new and, sort of deal. And it's certainly the kind of thing that you would have wished you had had on more than a few of your trips through the desert.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice, but that's about all I can tell, and I'll throw it back to Reeves.
What do you mean disappeared? Like they were like vanished, no footprints?
There were footprints, and then it looked like this spyglass had been dropped, and there were no more footprints. And
Val runs over the hill to wherever Ida was last seen and tries to take a look around.
Give me an investigation check.
It's a unnatural 20.
Dirty 20. You definitely see Ada's tracks. You see the spot where the spyglass was dropped into the sand, and nothing else. It's as if Ada just simply vanished into the air.
Walsh, I don't think you need to worry about me fucking this up. Glares at Reeves.
Oh, Reeves, did you fuck it up?
Apparently, I bet before this is over, you too, little miss, will also fuck things up for us.
Safe.
Also,
Safe bet.
Ada can hear everything that you're saying. You can't hear her, but she can hear you from inside.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we will
Well-
say then that approximately 10 minutes goes by. Ada does actually have a piece of parchment from her collection of things. It's a single piece of parchment that she thinks might be useful, but she would need Walsh's insight on to be certain.
So suddenly it's not like the spyglass disappears or anything. It's still there. But then Ada is too, and she's got a piece of paper in her hands. Looks exactly the same as when she trudged off into the sand to go to the bathroom.
Give me a Constitution saving throw, please, Ada.
Yep.
And also,
I could do
just to describe the materialization, it's not like she just poof, invisibility wears off sort of thing. This is literally like a swirling of air and Ada that gets larger and larger, that obviously emanates from the spyglass before Ada materializes in the space adjacent to it.
I rolled an 11 for the con save.
Ada holds it together for a good 20 seconds and then throws up in her mouth a bit, and is very obvious that she just threw up in her mouth to everyone.
Oh, don't swallow it. Don't swallow it.
Yeah, she'll just go yak, hopefully out of sight.
Oh, you were in there. You were in there the whole time. Oh.
I should have mentioned it to you.
Mhm.
But please, in the future, do not throw the spyglass around while I'm inside. You're very lucky. I have a very particular way to organize everything in there. And fortunately, that doesn't, get moved around, but I can feel it. So, when you were kind of just tossing things back and forth, trying to figure things out, I can feel that. I did find something that might be helpful. Walsh here, and she'll hand over this
it's a single piece of paper that is actually from about 20 years ago, before sand skimmers were even invented, that talks about like using and what is referred to as an arcanic engine, similar but not quite the same, and talks about the harnessing of either element
No, you're good.
either elemental energies, and then in parentheses it says definitely, or celestial energies, and then in parentheses it's got a big question mark, to power such a device.
Great. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, this looks above board, but that doesn't actually change our positioning that much, because we need either a lot of elemental energy or maybe celestial energy. That would probably be fine. Maybe. It's not really clear about that part.
At this point, you actually feel like your best bet would be to sleep on it,
Yeah.
and go ahead and start working on the engine, because that's going to take some time anyway.
I think we should sleep on it. Maybe I'll start working on the engine, because that'll take some time anyway.
Brilliant.
Well, yes, I suppose that could work. I mean, I can, someone should probably stay up, right? That makes sense. I can stay up first. I think you all got knocked around a little bit more than I did. So feel free to sleep.
Reeves seems like he's about to say something clever and then thinks back on how he was just spinning her and stuff. And so very sheepishly just closes his mouth.
Well, I mean, as long as we're talking about, setting a watch or anything like that, Falstaff can help. He doesn't sleep on account of being a machine.
Fantastic. Well, he and I can spend some time together then. That's great.
I'll take a shift. Walsh, I'm sure you'd be working on the ship. So, you and me, Ada, or Val, did you want to take a watch?
I'll take second or third.
I'll take. Can you? Good. Oh, I guess we're mostly half elves, and we can see in the dark, so we're fine.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And for what it's worth, I don't think I've described it in this game, but I know I haven't elsewhere. Ysterra has 3 moons, right? There is no such thing in almost all of Ysterra as a dark night, right? Like, it has to be the cloudiest of skies in order to block out 3 moons, even only partially visible in the sky. So even humans have a good sense of night sight, as it were, even though they can't necessarily pick out extreme details. And particularly in the desert, the brightness of the reflected suns into the moons extends quite distant. As you guys all settle in for the evening, Ada beginning her usual routine of, I'm assuming, writing a lot.
A whole lot.
And,
yep.
Yeah, and reading and whatnot. Every now and then, perhaps dipping into her spyglass to retrieve a tome of knowledge or something, or to take a moment's respite, because she can do that in there as well. You find yourselves drifting off through the evening's sleep and rest at periodic times. It's a little bit different for each of you, because some of you have slept in the desert, some of you haven't. Certainly the day's activities would weigh heavily on each of your minds in different turns and different respects. But Beth, I know this isn't Ada's strong suit, but I need for her to roll a perception check, please.
Cool.
Would you like Falstaff to also roll a perception check?
Sure.
I roll perception with disadvantage, and with disadvantage, I got a 17.
Whoa!
Yeah. I need to impress these people. This is our first night. I can't, I need to be laser focused.
Yeah, I get it.
For everybody wondering, Falstaff got a 7.
Okay.
I was concerned.
Ironically, this makes sense, though, because before Ada sees anything, she feels a familiar presence in the back of her mind, one that has often come to her in times of strife, that has often provided her solace, that has been a comforting presence for her in the many years since she first encountered this. And in that moment, she knows instinctively to just give herself over, because every time that she does, it comes with insight or knowledge or a benefit. And in that moment, she feels the calming sensation so common to her, and somehow, not entirely sure in her own mind how, but that isn't uncommon when dealing with this force. She knows to open her eyes and look to the east, and just casually and calmly opening her eyes and glancing in that direction, she sees a faint light in the distance, kind of bouncing reflectively across the sands of the desert, coming closer and closer. And she knows that the source of that light, somehow, she doesn't know exactly how, but she knows it to be important. And as she waits and it comes into focus, she sees for herself a small creature, not more than 3.5 feet in height, bristling with various natural seeming wood-like carapace over its body, its soft glowing eyes offset by the glowing bulbous nature of its crown, and carrying a small seeming firelight in its hand, and the ever faint magic aura of the moon Lunarin drifting above its head as it's making its way towards all of you. And that's where we're going to call it for tonight.
Ah!
A new
man.
pet. I love new pets.
A little buddy.
How do you know that you aren't the pet?
I mean,
Touche.
Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us here tonight. It has been tremendous amount of fun. Again, my sincerest apologies for my cough. I tried to cover it as much as I possibly could. I am hoping to be back up to 100% soon enough, but regardless of that, I had a ton of fun with helping all of these people tell this amazing story so far. Please come back next week to see part 2 of the mayhem that this group gets up to in the Lost Sands. We're just going to go around the table real quick and give everybody, let everybody have an opportunity to tell the folks watching who you are and where you can be found. And we will start once again with the A on the list, Mr. Andrew.
I am Andrew. I played Real Val in Arcane Trickster Rogue. My socials are in the chat. I had a lot of fun tonight. A lot of great characters in this party. A lot of mystery. A lot of backstory that we have yet to uncover for everybody. So it's gonna be fun.
Awesome. I certainly enjoyed having you here as always, Andrew. And at least one person in the chat has said very clearly that they had fun too. So you definitely helped with that. Thank you so much. Beth, who you are? Who are you?
Great question. Still trying to figure it out. This was great. This was fantastic. We'll see what happens. You know, it sounds like it's going to be a lot of shenanigans, quite frankly. But yes, I played Ada, who is a pip, let's say. Yeah, I'm Beth. I'll be here next week. I'm very excited. You can find me on social media at Beth Masco. It should be in the chat. And yeah, just excited to see where this story goes.
You're muted, Miko.
Muted.
Sorry, we're going to see you on Thursday too, right?
Yes.
League season shit's on?
Yeah, for the last episode of this arc.
Yeah,
I'm
going to talk about that in a minute.
Cool.
Kay.
Hi, I'm Kay, or Kaden Cosmos. You can find me on most socials there. I do art, and also I run free online trivia on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern at Sly Fox Trivia. I'm also playing a game with Bleak on Sunday. It's also the last of the episodes of our Basin game, which was very fun. Also tonight, I had a lot of fun. I was playing Reeves Erickson, who's old crotchety guy, I guess, who spins around little ladies in little baubles. So, you know, what can you do? Anyway,
I don't think he's anywhere near as crotchety as you might think he is.
I'll get there. We'll see. We'll keep fighting.
Coincidentally, anybody that tunes into my socials and checks out my profile pic and whatnot, that is an amazing piece of art that Kay made, and everyone should absolutely commission them to make something awesome for them too, because they are unique and personalized and totally the best. And that's just Kay. The artwork's pretty good too. Will, you got some stuff going on the internets, don't you?
I do have a few things that I could talk about. Hi, my name is Will. This was, like everybody has said before me, a complete, it was a blast. It was a great time. What a first game on Superior Adventurers Guild. Thank you so much for having me. And I can normally be found at Live from the Apocalypse. I'm one of the GMs and organizers over there. We're a not-for-profit TTRPG studio. We do podcasts and actual play streams. We raise money for nonprofits and charitable causes and things like that. We're currently raising money for the First Nations Development Institute, and we will be live tomorrow night. We will be playing our Eldritch Horror Pokemon TTRPG Missing Numbers, where I play Julian Rue, the X-Team Rocket member turned chef. So check that out at 8 p.m. twitch.tv/live from the apocalypse. continuing with the theme, we're not normally like this. We kind of are. I apologize in advance. Wednesday night is the final episode of our Wildcard Wednesday game, Banned in Dual City, which is, yes, a Yu-Gi-Oh! TTRPG. We play card games on motorcycles. Check it out if you're so inclined. And it all raises money for the First Nations Development Institute. So we're on podcast platforms, we're on social platforms, livefromtheapocalypse.com for everything.
That sounds incredible. Oh my god.
Yeah, I was like,
so
all
awesome.
of
Wow.
all
You,
of my
you and I should
interests.
talk too, because I know that we do a bunch of charity stuff as well. We've had some people on your stream,
Yep.
and I think we're probably going to be trying to do something for the earthquakes that just happened. We're probably going to try to organize something around that. We should talk.
We'll talk.
Yeah. I am Miko. I have been your glorious producer and game master, and doing, as my name implies, the okayest job possible at both in this. I am the OKS GM. You can find me on all the socials, the _OKS_GM. Links are in the chat for my link tree. I do homebrew stuff. I do AI art creationism things. Not an artist. You should feel free to check me out whenever you want. Stick around for a second here, though, because I'm going to go over all the other things that we do here on Superior Adventures Guild in a minute before we kick off to raid some good friends of ours. But that's been us for tonight. I hope I get to see you again soon. Bye, everyone. Say bye everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
So, once again, thank you all for tuning in. This has been an absolute blast. I loved every minute of this. And I'm really, really looking forward to continuing to tell this story with this glorious cast. I was so excited when I did the session 0 and all of these people got together and started making their characters and stuff. It's been awesome to bring my homebrew world to everyone. I just have a couple of quick things to talk about before we go. The Superior Adventures Guild is an awesome place, and you should come and join us. We've got a Discord to hop into. We've got an ever-growing community of folks that are awesome to chat with. It's also the best place to find out all of the things that we've got going on, all of the various shows that we do. We've got the show that you just saw, Monday Night Mayhem, where we scour the multiverse of the TTRPG space to bring you new faces, new games, new systems, and just a whole lot of fun. You can, of course, catch up with us in our Discord to find out everything about that, but also you should check out our Greyhawk game if you like the classic D&D feels. Our Tuesday Greyhawk game with Dave and the crew is, it ticks all of those boxes, and it's some really, 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 really cool storytelling going on there. And then, of course, we've got Bleak Season in Shadesong. It's in its second season now. As Beth had mentioned, we're wrapping up the chapter 1 of season 2 here this Thursday. In fact, chapters 2 and 3 are coming. Don't worry. I actually get to be a player in those. I am really, really looking forward to it. And we also have other stuff going on too. We've got the Vaesen game on Sundays that's wrapping up. And I think Dave, that's with Bleak Season as well. And then sometime in the next couple of weeks also taking over in that spot on Sundays is going to be a decent run of Mothership. I think it's a 5 or 6 episode arc. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. But yeah, you should check out our... Oh, sorry about that. You should check out our Discord and our socials as well for all of that stuff, because that's where we're going to keep everyone updated about new things that we've got going on there. I don't think I've got really any... Oh, wait, no. How? Sorry. I need to personally give a shout out to all of the awesome people that we've got here at the Guild. Particularly all of you people watching, everybody in our Discord. You guys are the reason, one of the many reasons that we do this. It's so much fun to get to bring these games to all of you. And then personally, I need to give a big shout out to the folks behind the scenes here at the Guild that really make all of this happen. Andy, Ash, Dave, Bleak Season. You guys are awesome. I wouldn't be doing this without you guys. So yeah, we are going to raid over here in a second to who we sorry. Yes, we're going to raid over Level 1 Geek. We love the folks over at Level 1 Geek. They've always got awesome games going on, and you should definitely hit them up in chat when you get there. Tell them who sent you. And then the last thing before I go, thank you once again, all of you. I hope each and every one of you has an amazing evening, week, month, year, and beyond. Bye, everyone.